Ljubitelj eura nek napišu na kamen.
Hello, 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 early head starting in a couple of minutes, Welcome to the American Perestroika. Welcome, a beautiful chatters. How we doing this fine morning, evening / afternoon, baby? Welcome to the American Perestroika. All labor aristocrats shall be thrown into the pit of poverty. All economic stability shall be rejected in the name of JD Pondon accelerationist destruction. Welcome to the 21st century, where nothing makes any sense, where we do things just for the vibes, where we sit and say, really, is this really happening? Well, it is happening. Line go motherfucking down! Welcome chatters, got no monies except for Dr. Slippy for the 15 months and McGin for the 100 bits. It is time to take out all your money out of your bank account, put it in a crypto wallet that can translate over to Twitch, and gift as many subs to everybody as possible as a means of laundering money. Welcome. How you guys doing? What money? Let's go! Bitch, I'm Greek. I don't even know the color of money. Thank you, Gavin.
How much should I invest in the stock market right now to make it $1 million? $2 million.
You can go hard. You can try with 3. What's up, chat? I love this. One of my 5 years ago. Never goes wrong. Let's fucking go. Thank you, call sign Juan, for the 9 months. I only invest in Yugo, the greatest investment opportunity that can get away from you very easily if you don't get in on the down low. Anyways, long time no see since Saturday. Oh my God, you missed me for a whole day, baby. We gamed on Saturday. It was fucking awesome. I was not able to put down the game for like 2 days. I went out on Saturday. Sunday, I was like, everything has already been reported on. What the fuck am I supposed to report on? So, I didn't stream. But today, thank you, McGinn. But today we stream. Today we are back. Today we're going to cover the news. We're going to talk a little bit about my take on what is currently happening. I think all the takes have already been pretty, like, massively printed like this, right? Like, the economy might be doing this, but also political Twitch streamers are doing this. Okay? Okay? Like, I didn't stream because I opened Twitch yesterday and this is what it looked like. Just a bunch of fucking people saying the same shit all over and over and over and over and over and over again. I saw it also on Saturday. So I was like, I'm going to game on Saturday. That's why I gamed. Because everybody was like, blah, 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 blah. Today I opened to an extent, it's again the same thing. Blah, blah, blah. So now you might be thinking, okay, you're criticizing, but are you going to do something different? No, I'm going to be talking about the same thing, okay? We'll be talking about the same thing. Jesus Christ, my mask looks fucking awful. And it is really warm in here. Putting it on 18 degrees Celsius, and it's snowing outside. Can you believe that shit? An article today, stocks could do something today that hasn't happened since the Great Depression. Let's watch it happen in 4K here on stream, shall we? Anyways, we start out today's reporting from multiple perspectives. We don't start out today's reporting from multiple perspectives. Multiple perspectives is what we're going to be doing later on. Different intellectuals from all over the political compass and their reaction to the current struggling line. Går very red, blöt, very red line, blöt. Look how red this line, blöt, very red. But other than that, let's see how the media apparatus, the State Department shills la definición high capitolón over in Fox News and in CNN and BBC are reacting to this, and especially Fox News in light of their darling going fully fucking off script.
This big, beautiful economy that actually...
It goes hard today. Really? It kind of doesn't. It's kind of weak. I mean, the brown, thank you. You're kind. But yeah. It's kind of lazy, but thank you, and Mac.
He was rolling
very kind of you. Let me snooze those stupid ads. Let's continue.
Pretty good with jobs and inflation coming down. Feels more like the Game of Thrones Red Wedding.
My favorite part, like new argument that I didn't even think about that I saw from a Chinese dude in an article is he's like, dude, what sort of manufacturing do you want to see come back? We're automating everything over here in China. Like, everything's automated. Like, what jobs? What are you talking about? Here, though, the automation actually does lead to higher life standards and not lower job opportunities, because we have a little thing known as the Communist Party that manages that relation of labor alleviation through automation, which then leads to higher labor value gained by the workers, etc., etc. So he's like, "What jobs, bruv? What jobs? Everything's already automated." Kind of a little hit that I didn't think about previously. Thank you very much, Finesse, for the 6 months. Just got the stock guy recommended. Can you help? All of YouTube right now is just stocks. And thank you, Maneater, for the 5 months. Maneater, no. Maybe not there, but up. Maybe not peak, but it's up there. Thank you, my friend. He's looking like every pole I see. Yo, kurva. Polska Polaku, eh? They see me short and they hate, oh my god, we got a hype train. I fucking love trains. They go fucking choo choo choo. We'll not immediately start out with Chinese TikToks because it's the beginning of the stream, but I will owe you Chinese TikToks for later, depending on how long this hype train becomes. The longer we'll watch Chinese TikTokies later when we wanna relax. But okay, Fox News fully abandoned Trump after market collapse. Let's see if it's clickbait or if it's interesting.
I mean, it is not going well. This is being executed poorly.
That's right. After complaining about inflation, grocery and gas prices for 4 years straight under Joe Biden.
We're so close to 2,000. I think we can do it easily today. Easily. I think easily in the first 2 hours because you need to think about what to do with your currency. Now it's obviously the inflation is going to rise and purchase abilities for regular Americans are going to decrease. So you have to think about investing in stuff that has only gone up in value in recent years. And that is exactly what a Twitch subscription is. Used to cost $4, then $5, now $6. It's literally more legitimate than gold. And you might ask, oh, but I can't sell it to someone else. Those are details. We don't talk about details here, okay? And there you go. Upstage Coronet, 12 months, long-term investor, knows how this fucking game works. There you go, Romka with his $1. Hello, can I please have iPhone made in the US for $30,000 a piece? The exchange was unequal after all. And if you do any of that, you will avoid the ad that plays in 2 minutes and 45 seconds, which is a government, and by government I mean me, myself, and I, subvention given to those that invest in our mutual aid corporate project. Anyways, back to the news.
And Fox News are now in turmoil, trying to reconcile with the ramifications of the economy under their fearless cult leader. And the decision, it seems, is to abandon ship.
Consumer prices are not going down. We're 70% a consumer-driven country. So building a motor...
You are 100% consumer-driven country. The culture of the American is to be able to purchase a lot of stuff. Okay? America is a place where you have an entire industry completely dedicated to you renting out very large spaces in which you can keep your stuff. Okay? Americans don't treat their house as a home. They just treat it as a place to keep stuff and show said stuff off to people that might visit. Okay, it is the main reason why developing class consciousness in the States is so difficult. It's not the Red Scare, okay? It's not hyper-conservative social values, okay? It's not living in the fucking imperial core and grabbing all the benefits from, even as a working class people, from the exploitation of the rest. Sure, all those categories play a role. But the main thing is, because an American, when he wakes up in the fucking morning, okay, before he is white, black, cis, trans, gay, disabled, or anything, before any of those categories, before he is even bourgeois or proletarian, an American is a consumer, a client, a buyer, a customer, and the customer is always right. So when you hit prices, specifically in the United States of America, my friends, you are not simply creating a recession. It is an affront. It is an attack on the very way of life Americans cherish so much. To consume is to be, and to be is to consume. So when consuming costs more, you become less, for you can consume less. Welcome to 2025, ladies and gentlemen. Trump, J.D. Pondon, single-handedly destroying American culture.
Around the United States with protectionist and isolationist economic policies are not positive. And this isn't me saying it. This is JP Morgan, 60% chance of a recession.
But look, at this moment in time, with the market down 1,238 points right now on the Dow Industrials and the NASDAQ down 800 right now, and the market's not even open, futures indicating a very ugly opening, now would be the time for some clarity.
After US President Trump finally released his Liberation Day tariff.
Stay tuned for triathletes realizing how the prices go up live on TikTok. Go, 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 go.
The market sell-off was so bad, JP Morgan kicked up their probability of a recession to 60%, with Thursday being the worst day for the stock market since when? Back in 2020 when Trump was also president.
Thursday was the worst day for stocks since March 2020, and very early this morning, prices were falling again.
JP Morgan upping its recession odds to 60%.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that time we had a literal motherfucking plague? When everybody was like, holy shit, we're about to have a plague for like half a decade. And then prices went down. Expectedly, we had a plague. But now we have a stronger plague. We have the American Foreign Policy Institute. Literally worse than COVID. Might even kill as many people as COVID. Why am I saying this with a smile on my face? Because I am literally insane. How can you not be with everything that's going on around us? It's art. It proves we are not living in a simulation. Because there's no way, brother. There's no way that the main storyline, maybe a side quest or two, but that the main storyline of the fucking simulation we're in, this is it. This is the decision. It's written by somebody with the fucking late stage schizophrenia, if it is. So I feel good, for I am alive, for I am actually made of flesh and not, as Elon wife's stinky wife would say, of digital assets. My God, even thinking about that lady makes the room stink up a little bit. Thank you, Dubka! Stay tuned for the triathletes realizing, oh no, okay, I saw that before. What the fuck? Why did it double? Strange. Anyways.
40% previously, citing obviously the tariffs, the effect on...
A simulation would have guardrails and coherent writing. That's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Clip that. Clip it.
Business sentiment, the effect on investment, and the effect on and on consumer price. They said, quote, these policies, if sustained, would likely push the U.S. and possibly global economy into recession this year.
While we've come to expect pushback from Democrats and left-leaning pundits who have taken issue with Trump's approach, the magnitude of just how bad this is becomes even more apparent when you look at...
Chat. Holy shit, chat. Do you think Zyn prices are going to go up? Holy shit. Don't fucking make my Zyn prices go up, bro. Hugo, can you explain to a STEM guy who's not very well versed in stonks, but does know a lot about statistical analysis, why does the opening today not look nearly as bad as Thursday or Black Friday? Which opening of the stock exchange? Is the crash being slowed down because American investors are that stupid to not believe their economy is about to be fucking cooked? When the next American investors are that stupid to not believe the economy is so fucking cooked? When the next round of earnings reports comes in, like what is causing it to slow down this morning? Because you got it right on the head. Because so many fucking phone calls are being made. So many people are like, what we're seeing right now behind the scenes is basically stock manipulation on such a scale that if realized or shown openly would make the economy quite literally go down to zero. What do I mean by stock manipulation? Now you have every single Republican adjacent fucking investor or a lobbyist or whatever hitting everybody up to tell them not to pull money out of shit because herder, it might work in the long term. And the craziest thing is that some of them actually do believe it. And stay away from pulling money out or from moving funds abroad, etc., etc. So basically, what I'm saying is, in the background, there was a lot of phone calls to the top investors to basically make them stop moving shit around. That's it. But that's like like complete Band-Aid type shit. You know, I love talking about Band-Aid type shit. So once those, investors are capitalists at the end of the day. Sure, they'll be like, okay, I'm okay with losing a couple of $100 million. And the only reason I am okay with losing a couple of $100 million or a couple of billion is because if I trust the plan, trust the 5D chess, maybe in a year I make a lot of money. So I trust you, so I'll listen to you. But as time passes, as line keeps going further and further down, or at least not stabilizing, that's always the most dangerous thing. It doesn't matter like if it's downward spiral or upward spiral, but it has a relative constant. Of course, it's problematic, but especially downwards, but it's not like catastrophic. When we have no idea what is happening, that is when panic trades are made, and that shit pisses you in your mouth and calls you Sally. So yeah, the straight up lines are suspicious. They are extreme because it's phone calls, because it's market manipulation, as always. Because it's phone calls. It's not supposed to be illegal for politicians or lobby groups, etc., to be hitting up investors and telling them don't sell because of ideological belief or whatever the fuck. But they're doing it. They're doing it massively in the background. Massively. But again, it's a Band-Aid. Eventually, those people whose job is to make money for the sake of money are going to realize that this is a losing game, very likely. And then the floodgates are open completely. And then we're just like, nobody knows if they're taking it, if they're giving it. Is it in the mouth? Is it in the ear? Is it in the fucking nose? So everybody starts panicking and touching up stuff that they're not supposed to touch up. There's also short-term speculation in addition to people really selling stuff. Of course. Of course. A lot of people think that they're going to outsmart this, and they're like, now I'm going to trust the plan, and it's going to work out. Thank you very much, Grey Goat, for the 5 gifties. Fuck yeah, Grey Goat. Thank you very much for giving me money to immediately plug into the American economy, because I love $5,000 iPhones, as Romka likes to say.
Those also criticizing the sheer stupidity.
One of my girlfriend's best friends, literally a multimillionaire stock trader, told me 2 days ago that he's never made as much money in his entire career. He's been a stock trader for like 10 plus years. He hasn't made as much money in his entire career as the other week. And I asked him like, okay, but what's basically the big bet? And he's like, it was not a big bet. He was like, I was betting that Trump is actually going to do it. And, hedging against pretty much everything, because I knew he was going to do it. I was betting that he was going to do it. And when it comes to the results, we all knew exactly what the results were, which are the results that we're seeing right now in 4K, at least the short-term results. So he was just shorting like fucking crazy. Like absolutely fucking crazy. He's like, I borderline have retirement money now. Like, if he wasn't that into the organization because he's one of the founders, he would leave. So he's a professional gambler. Yeah, to an extent, a very successful one, yeah.
Stupidity of Trump's approach here. Hosts and guests on Fox News, for one.
Well, BMW is going to rethink South Carolina because it's not going to import.
But even if it does come there, it's mostly robots making it, blad. There's no jobs in that shit, bro. What the fuck? There's jobs in that shit in fucking unionized economies like Northern European ones, or socialized economies like the Chinese or Vietnamese one. You can't do that in fucking North Carolina, brother. What's up, Robo? I've been following markets since it opened. It looked like someone was stroking it the whole time, because they were. They absolutely were. And sometimes, because like now we're sitting here and we're like, dude, that's too obvious. Like there's no way they were hitting each other up and being like, dude, we have to stimulate it to go up. We gotta literally stroke it, as you beautifully put. But sometimes the answer is the most obvious thing, right? That's just what's happening. That's what's happening. Oh. Thank you, Grey Goat, blят. Grey Goat, the fucking J. Thank you very much.
Tariffed parts, engines from Germany, then to send.
I just hope my Zins don't get more expensive, okay?
Those vehicles to export them. So again, it will mean if that plant stays open, it will mean fewer jobs potentially because they're going to make those vehicles somewhere else.
Well, where are they going to sell them now?
They sell them to China. They sell them to China and they sell them to Europe.
So every American customer who could buy a BMW could be replaced overnight by a Chinese customer.
They sell them.
Welcome to the very market you presented to the world, my beautiful, bald-headed American in a pretty decent suit. It's so fucking awesome. They're like, wow, God, there's no way that like a Chinese can afford the same amount that we can afford. Yeah, no. Welcome. Welcome to capital distribution and its inevitable drive towards burning down its base. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Hence why I keep telling all you fuckers that that the market is a post-human entity. It is worse than any science fiction dystopia AI that's controlling this and controlling that. It is simply line must go up, profit must be generated, market must go hard. And it will react to this idiotic type of shit and not so idiotic type of shit only as a means of self-preservation and nothing else. In the long term, it will hurt the super wealthy as well. It will hurt everyone because it only cares for itself because that's what it's programmed to do. It is a system we created that spiral out of our fucking hands and has no loyalty to any state or individual or school of thought. So enjoy sitting in the massive pile of shit you built for yourselves, motherfuckers, is what I'm saying to our beautiful, beautiful species. Unitas fucking mundi.
They export them to China.
No, but I'm saying you can't make
they import the parts, which will be tariffed, and then they will export them from the United States.
Oh my God, she watched the First Stop video.
States where they're manufactured.
That's literally a First Stop video.
Back to Europe, where they will be tariffed again, and then to China and nations around the globe. Right? So these are the problems that a U.S. manufacturer faces because the parts are coming from somewhere else.
They can also just make the parts here. They can make the car.
No, they can't. Absolutely not. That's a fallacy.
It's impossible.
Was holding up fine. The economy was good. Everything was fine. Now,
Robo tried to get me, but I opened it in different screen. But there you go, Robo. You Albania'd me so hard.
Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and
Who care? Well, this is so custom. I respect it. Funniest Hugo clip. Here's a subscription. There you go. This is so custom. So he's Albanian. He's also this fucking bunker builder. And then it's boomer humor because we're getting rickrolled. And then it surprises with a poop sock because I aggressively react to poop socks. Custom shit, man. Custom paint job, bro. I fuck with it.
now there's this blinding light, like a giant searchlight staring at everyone with these tariffs. And these numbers aren't going to make any difference at all. What the market is worried about is what's going to happen in the future. Who's going to hire?
There's a permaban, in my honest opinion. No, that's Robo. Robo's intense.
Now in this uncertain environment, I think people are very.
I think the only person I ever banned was because he was trying to dox me. They were trying to dox me. I apologize for the miss. What was their name? I think Henry? No, Henry's fucking Kingdom Come. Harry? Hank! Yeah, Hank. I hope Hank gets help. They were... Wow. Robo, I'm not comparing you to Hank. Please, no, Robo, you're perfectly normal. You're very chill. Hank was... my God.
Very, very concerned.
But there were still some pundits who did their very best to spin it in a suck it up America sort of way.
And those 401k people who were depending, those retirees, all of that, just talking plain speak with them. Look, when this nation used to go to war, people in this country would support the war effort with their materials at home and making things for weaponry and all of that. We got to do 100% buy-in over this bumpy period. Just communicate.
That's right, the folks.
Oh my God, this is my favorite fucking part of this entire game. My favorite part of this entire game. vote Republican because basically we will lower every single tax system known to man in order for you to be wealthier. You go and you vote for Republicans, and then Republicans tell you, yo, bro, like, you gotta go broke hard because it's patriotic as shit, bro. Like, yeah, we'll remove the taxes, but for everything we remove tax-wise, prices are going to go up. $700 eggs, baby. And it's an unironic pitch. It's they are doing war communism pitch. They're doing the war communism pitch. The same people that were telling you go back to work, go make that fucking money. I don't care if grandma dies during COVID, okay? Fuck grandma, fuck grandpa, fuck your disabled cousin, okay? They're now saying no. No McDonald's for you, baby, this month because it's patriotism, brother. Oh. Yeah. Galen, and I don't hate Albanians. How many times do I have to repeat this? It's just funny to make fun of them because they're the main nationality that reacts like as if you spit in their daughter's fucking mouth. Like, that's why it's fucking funny. I like Albanians. They're just gonna sound racist. One of my closest friends are Albanians. Oh, Granny can't die from COVID. We rigged her lifeless body to continue working for free. And apparently, if you ask the Republicans, also working for the State Department. Dude, we will save American taxpayer money by basically firing 3 million plus people, was the pitch until last month. And the pitch now is, no, saving money bad. But sir, you fired 3 million people because you said you're going to save us money, and now you're telling us that we should not be expecting to save any money. Yes, my lord, I will work for free, sir. Oh.
That were splitting hairs when the market was booming under Joe Biden, lying about how desperate times were for the people, are now saying losing your 401k is patriotic and skip vacation this year. Do it for Uncle Sam.
And he's delivering. And you know what? I don't really care about my 401k today. You know what? Not that I can afford it. Not that it isn't important. Not that I'm not at a point in my life when I should be worried about my 401k, because I am. But this is what I believe. I believe in this man. And I believe that what we're seeing now with his bringing in $1 trillion in business.
Thank you, and Max, save the video. I'll check it out later. Thank you. Thank you, Romka. No, sir, I will... No, sir! I will cope and say we will roboticize production in the U.S. Also, don't listen to the Stalinoid Antifa telling you about the falling rate of profit.
And manufacturing.
You see what I did there? How I rhymed Antifa with profit?
And companies moving back to the United States.
Again, everybody's tightening the belt. Everybody's trying to figure out how to save money here and there, and that's just the natural game. And we teach this all the time on the Ramsey Show.
Yeah.
Listen, it's a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. You only get hurt if you jump off amid the ride. You know, be smart. If you got to pull back for your vacation this year because times are a little tighter, fine. Save, plan, and you just can't be the sky is falling looking at the headlines every day to decide how I'm going to live life.
But others...
Oh my God, dude, this is I love America. I am such a massive fucking Ameriboo, bro. No place on planet Earth will you see people in cold blood, millionaires in cold blood, come out on TV and tell you, yo, life might be hard right now, but that's good because reasons, because trust the plan and stuff. Okay? Because maybe down the line, Jimmy from across the street might get a manufacturing job. Oh, wait. Oh my God. Oh, Lord, praise Jesus.
Vacation this year because times are a little tighter, fine. Save, plan, and you just can't be the sky is falling looking at the headlines every day to decide how I'm going to live life.
But others somewhat closer to the surface of the truthless cocoon.
So good, so good, so good, so good. Don't look at the TV. Don't look at the line go down. Pretend it's not going down. Treat all your life savings going down the same way we recommend professional investors treat their portfolios, long-term portfolios. Yeah. Dude, they are sitting in a burning house, and these guys are telling them not to look at the fire. It is... It's so good. It's. I'm sorry, but oh my god, the pitch is incredible. The pitch is incredible. I genuinely can't believe they went with it. Do you know how stupid they think you fuckers are? Do you understand just how stupid they think you are, bro? They're literally telling you don't look at the fire as it's creeping into your fucking kitchen. Oh, la 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 la.
They often find themselves in weren't having it, and eventually had
MAGA Maoism, bro. You tell your labor aristocrats to consume less so that the oppressed third world can rise. Yeah, dude. This is specifically, what was it? This is Juche. Bro, this is Juche, like isolationism and internal development through aggressive economic policy outwards and sometimes inwards, bro. Juche Dom, bro. Juche Dom, yo. Turns out he just really fucking liked the DPRK economic policy. Not Kim, like an individual, bro. Oh.
No choice but to tell the truth. And the truth is the economy is in shambles and Donald Trump is to blame.
We're continuing to move down. We now have the NASDAQ off 1,000 points, 5.6%. The Dow Industrials are down 1,558 points. By the way, if the Dow goes down 1,712 points, that will put the Dow in correction territory. The NASDAQ already in correction territory with a loss of 1,000 points. Check out the 10-year Treasury yield, please. It's been going down. It's just a tad above 4%, 4.01. Sharp decline in the yield there. The price of gold coming down a little bit from its previous highs, $8 lower at 31.57. Bitcoin, that's not exactly strong this morning. It's at 81.5.
Thoughts is this big, beautiful economy that actually was rolling pretty good with jobs and inflation coming down feels more like the Game of Thrones Red Wedding. I mean, it is not going well. This is being executed poorly. His economic advisors are being intellectually dishonest. Trade wars are bad. Tariffs are a tax. Consumer prices are not going down. We're 70% a consumer-driven country. So building a moat around the United States with protectionist and isolationist economic policies are not positive. And this isn't me saying it. This is JP Morgan, 60% chance of a recession. Heritage Foundation is for free trade and thinks tariffs are poor. I think Steve and I have always been for targeted tariffs. Go after the Eurozone on auto. Go after China on steel and intellectual property. But across the board is just coming back to haunt us. Yeah. And the markets are efficient. I disagree with Secretary of State Rubio. It's not just the businesses are getting reset. They're going to actually look at what happened at Whirlpool in Iowa. They cut over 500 jobs.
I hear
and
you.
By the way, today, the senator of Iowa and the senator of Washington are doing a bipartisan bill
Buy a gun!
to take away some of the
take
powers.
control back, and Congress really has not been muscular on any of these issues, even though they had the power to be. And
You want advice about how to protect your assets in a fucking recession where millions will unfortunately have to turn to crime? Buy the ultimate stock blocker, the ultimate asset seizure rejection machine, a fucking 9mm, bro.
and probably should have been a long time ago. Stephen Robert, thank you.
And listen, the shift goes beyond Fox News. I mean, Ben Shapiro has had his concerns.
Yesterday, President Trump declared that it was, in fact, Liberation Day, his giant tariff policy that he just dropped on the market unilaterally, probably unconstitutionally. Trump's reciprocal tariffs impose hundreds of billions of dollars in new taxes on Americans, be the largest tax increase since the Revenue Act of 1968. One of the biggest tax increases on American consumers in the history of America. And it's going to cost American consumers. It will cost American producers who use inputs from other countries.
And it's going to cost you 5 minutes of your life watching an ad. If you watch the ad that's going to play in exactly 1 minute. Instead, invest in YugoCoin for $6 a month, free through Prime, or by gifting to those less privileged than you, you become a proud owner of YugoCoin. And in return, you receive not watching ads. Do so now. Or watch the ad, I guess.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeted immediately more than 1,000 points. The S&P 500 plummeted more than 3%. The NASDAQ plummeted almost 4.5%. There are real-world implications for this sort of stuff. Trade wars are, in fact, not good and not easy to win.
So it's the 20s again, and a lot of places won't be able to get foreign alcohol. Americans should bring back bootlegging and speakeasies. How many times have I told you this? If you can learn how to properly make your own alcohol, make your own alcohol. You're getting ripped the fuck off. The types of great rakias and vodkas you can make. Whiskey's, unfortunately, most likely not, unless you're wealthy and you can set up the whole fucking spiel. You make very good shit. Just don't poison yourself. First, do it with someone that has done it before and make your own fucking booze. It is a great fucking time. And unlike food and shit, booze doesn't go bad. So you just do it once a year. You do it once a year and you make a batch worth of like 500 fucking bottles. Right? 500 liters and you fucking good for the next year, unless you're fucking unhinged. Like Barry over here, who doesn't want you all to miss out on the YugoCoin investment portfolio now that the market is down. Thank you, Barry. Your wife loves you. We love you. And her lover, apparently, that you keep mentioning, but I'm sure doesn't exist because Barry's a tough motherfucker. Even though Barry also fucks the lover, I'm pretty sure. Oh, yeah. And of course, I can't be talking about illegal substances here. But if you're more into this shit, right? If you're more into this shit, then you can also grow some of that. But I think it's a little bit more illegal. So I can't,
Win.
Thank you, Barry, one more time.
Particularly if you don't actually have a plan. It is predicated on a bad idea of how international trade works. A fundamental misunderstanding of trade deficits.
Okay, then why did you push for Trump in the election? Trump has been talking about doing tariffs and how he loves tariffs even before he ran as a candidate in this fucking election. 80% of his platform was built on tariffs and the other 20% on trans people who were sucking or something. That's it.
Deficits. Trade deficits they're an accounting procedure. Trade deficits have pretty much nothing to do with the health of an economy. I can name you a period in American history where there was a fairly large surplus in America's balance of trade. The entire Great Depression.
Hell, even Steve Bannon, while on a separate issue, isn't confident that Trump will even last 4 years in office. All of which is to say that the tide is turning on the man who's been underwater since he took office back in January.
S&P 500 drops of 5% or more at this point in a presidency. There are only two of them, right? There's Donald Trump, 10% drop since he took office. The only one that matches it or exceeds it was George.
Guys, is he reversing it? Is Nothing Ever Happens gonna win again? My arch nemesis, Nothing Ever Happens. Is Nothing Ever Happens gonna win again? I think they might. The Nothing Ever Happens guy is gonna kill Peter Snipper guy. He's gonna kill A Lot Happens in One Day. He's definitely gonna annihilate Decades Happening in Weeks guy. Like, all those guys are very underpowered compared to Nothing Ever Happens guy. And right now we're thinking that we're defeating Nothing Ever Happens guy, but because Trump's popularity is falling so rapidly, it is giving extra boost points to Nothing Ever Happens guy. So he might come back and return the status quo to Nothing Ever Happens. We'll see.
George W. Bush back in 2001, a drop of 18%. This is it. This is the whole kit and caboodle since the S&P 500 was created as an index back in 1957. When you're one of two and we're talking about drops in the stock market,
Why? Well, because prices have not gone down on day one, like he promised. Wars haven't ended, like he promised. And so, in conclusion, people are coming to terms with the aftertaste of the snake oil they chug. And unfortunately for us, we're all collateral.
But the numbers that they did, and they had this ridiculous, I mean, that was the chart that they had with the mathematical equation. I mean, are you kidding me? How about just like...
It looked like an Einstein.
I know. How about the fact that it was just wrong? Yeah. And what bothered me, Aaron, was that they really did, over and over again, the president said, listen, it's going to be reciprocal. So you do it, we do it. And that was going to be so good. And I really believed in it. And I feel like a sucker tonight. Because I am not a free trader, and I do not believe in free trade. And I was just as tough, if not tougher, than his people. But they screwed it up, and they did it a totally ill-advised way. And I was very let down as someone who really, truly believes that free trade is awful for the American working person. This is what they came up with. Jeez, come on, have some gumption, have some
Can't get enough Midas? Check out the Midas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, podcasts, daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, and more.
Wow,
Sign up for
stuff,
free now
stuff.
at Midas.
I don't know anything about Midas, so I can't recommend it or not recommend it. I don't know, but this was just a decent compilation. Want to see how Bernie is going? No, let's first see who the main guy behind.
Okay, so
I hope this is properly researched and stuff. It looks good. The madman behind Trump's trade theory.
Crazy. This is Peter.
The vid from earlier. What was in the vid? It was Vijay getting kicked out from back in the day. Where was it?
America is the American section of the Revolutionary Communist Union. May I take some to secure a true victory for the working class.
Woo! Vivek, what are your thoughts on reparations for Black Americans?
So here's my perspective. I was asked about this when I came to the south side of Chicago a year ago.
I'm an organizer. I'm not one of your.
I'm also pragmatist.
I'm not one of these people.
You're not a party.
You're not an acolyte of yours.
You're not a. You get to.
You get to express being a racist Zionist pig. Is that what you get to express?
I'm pro-American, but I believe in your right to speak. I believe in your right to speak your mind.
Do you believe?
Racists go home! Racists go home!
Classic.
Racists go home!
Classica, блядь, Classica.
Peter Navarro. He's a Harvard-educated economist and senior advisor to the president. He's also the madman behind Trump's trade policies. And no, I'm not kidding. He really is a madman, who among other things has admitted to creating a fictional Harvard economist to support his crazy economic views in both books and memos in Washington that played a key role in the US-China trade war. And what's even crazier is he still has a job. Furthermore, even though he's Harvard educated and is a prolific writer, he has no publications in top-tier academic journals. He is literally an advisor to the president, but as an economist, he's done virtually nothing than write crazy books. He's run for political office at least 5 times, unsuccessfully, and often as a Democrat. He endorsed Hillary Clinton in 2008, which is crazy in and of itself. That
the biggest L King, bro.
Donald Trump would let a Hillary Clinton endorser influence his economic policy. And in 1996, he's the author of a book turned movie titled Death by China, and you won't believe.
We will not let China kill us. Instead, we will kill ourselves before the Chinese come. It is time to follow in the footsteps of ancient Japanese tradition when faced with the Chinese. Commit suicide.
Who narrated that movie. He believes Chinese goods are poisoning Americans, and while he started his career as a proponent of free trade like most economists, at some point he took a weird turn for the worst. He's dismissed by nearly all economists, including Harvard economists, as fringe and oddball. In fact, the only thing that economists seem to agree on more than the importance of free trade is
Death by China is what my husband calls it when I sit on his face. God.
How often
Navarro
gets it wrong. Oh, and stay till the end because you won't believe how Trump found him. This is the bizarre story of Peter Navarro. Okay, so over the last couple of months, as I've dug deeper and deeper into the trade war that the US is waging with essentially everybody, I started to wonder, who is it that is leading the charge? Who is giving Donald Trump the ideas that he is implementing with respect to tariffs and free trade? And it didn't take me long to find the source. But when I started to unpeel the layers...
Yo, Romka will appreciate this if Romka's in chat. Who is Trump's Dugin? Dorum, dorum, dorum.
Of the story, I couldn't believe what I found. The story just got crazier and crazier the more that I looked into Peter Navarro, an economist that essentially no economists actually agree with. And clearly the markets don't agree with him either, as the VIX, the measure of volatility in the US stock market, has gone through the roof. I mean, just take a look at this chart. The higher the blue line gets, the more volatile the US economy is becoming. And pretty much every single time that the economy has been as volatile as it is right now, we've gone into a recession. And with the recent introduction of tariffs, this volatility number has spiked, and it's getting scary. But what's even scarier is the architect of this whole thing, this whole tariff thing, this battle with China and the rest of the world, and the seemingly crazy math that is being used to determine what tariffs to levy against other countries. And not only that, one Harvard economist has gone so far as to say that Peter...
In all seriousness, this tariff plan was designed to fail. For America, failure means escalation. That means the real reason is war in China with maybe a stop in Iran to destroy China's supply of oil. Very, very probable. I just don't think they're smart enough to understand what they need to do to the American population in order to motivate them for a conflict. I don't think the Republicans, at least, even for a second, think that you need to precog, the Americans for conflict. I think they believe they are always ready. But a larger pitch that this failed and it failed because of the Chinese doing XYZ could be a very interesting pitch. But now we're saying that it would absolutely not work because everybody from the entirety of the right-wing spectrum, because that's the only one that exists in mainstream American news coverage, absolutely everybody's calling this out for what it is, a massive fumble on the side of the American administration, right? So it's going to be difficult to pitch it as Herder, the Chinese did it. So even if that was the OG plan, in my opinion, it has failed. Trump doesn't need a Dugin, for he is the first and foremost leader of the working class of the oppressed nations. Comrade Trump has read Mao and doesn't need a Dugin.
Navarro, the guy who's created this whole thing, has an understanding of economics that most freshman economics students would be able to see right through. But before we talk about Navarro's actual policies and his made-up economist that is seemingly the only economist that actually supports his thoughts and he's not even real, and the odd way that Trump found him, it's important to go through Navarro's history and understand where he came from and some of his weird ideologies with respect to trade. According to Wikipedia, Peter Navarro is an American economist and author who is currently the senior counselor for trade and manufacturing for the U.S. President Donald Trump. He previously served the first Trump administration, first as the director of the White House National Trade Council, then as director of the new Office of Trade and Manufacturing Policy.
Can we have the video that we're watching pinned, mods? I love you, please. Thank you.
Now, Navarro is a professor emeritus of economics.
This is a smaller channel. We should always plug smaller channels. I doubt this is a comrade or whatever, but still very decent analysis.
Economics and public policy at the University of California, Irvine. But interestingly enough, you'll see in a minute, UC Irvine has essentially said he doesn't really represent us anymore. He's also arguably one of the most unsuccessful politicians in U.S. history, having run for the Republicans, run as an independent, and run as a Democrat in various different elections, having never once been elected. He's well known for his hardline views on China and his belief that China is an existential threat to the United States. For some reason, unlike most economists, he's a vocal opponent of free trade agreements. And he was the key official behind the China-United States trade war that took place during Donald Trump's first term. Now, ironically, even though he is one of Trump's biggest supporters, Navarro has supported Hillary Clinton. He's been supported by Hillary Clinton. He's supported Barack Obama. And all of his interactions with respect to his...
And the other king of recession, bro. Come on.
economics and his political life leads me to wonder if Peter Navarro is a Democratic plant, tricking Republicans and the MAGA crowd into the biggest tax increase in history by way of
That would
tariffs.
be funny.
I mean, it absolutely blows my mind that his trade policies are so far to the left, and he has somehow found a way to get a Republican president, who, by the way, was also a Democrat at one time, to implement them and convince the far right that they're in the best interests of America. Because everything that is happening with these tariffs right now flies
Yes, far left policy. We love destroying the economy through tariffs. Yes.
in the face of typical Republican policies. And for some reason, he just seems to want to argue with other economists.
This is where you're wrong, bro, because Trump is not like a typical Republican. That's the only argument that you need for why he's not acting like a typical Republican. He gets elected because he's not a typical Republican, and his policies are rarely what a typical Republican would pursue. So.
In 2016, there were 370 economists, including 19 Nobel laureates, that signed a letter warning against Trump's stated economic policies. Navarro simply turned around and said that the letter was an embarrassment to the corporate offshoring wing of the economist profession, who continues to insist bad trade deals are good for America. I mean, making statements like this is like saying that the doctors who choose to wear gloves are crazy for thinking that the...
Yeah, welcome to the Republican Party, bro. Remember what happened during COVID? I mean, that was also the pitch. We will do an unhinged, stupid thing. Experts will tell us not to do the unhinged, stupid thing. And we will call all the experts members of some sort of evil cabal that is stopping us from fixing shit.
Gloves save lives. And Navarro's fringe ideas were met with skepticism during the first Trump administration, where he butted heads consistently with Gary Cohn from Goldman Sachs, who was also an advisor to President Trump at the time. He was essentially neutralized by Cohn until Cohn decided to step down, leading the way for the initial US-China trade war. On January 20th, 2025, Navarro became the senior counselor for trade and manufacturing in Donald Trump's second term. He was one of few officials from the first term to return for the second term. And it seems that this time around, President Trump has put people around him that wouldn't push back when it came to his trade ideologies. But interestingly enough, Elon Musk recently took a stab at Navarro on X, which I'll get to a little bit later on. Now, when it comes to the major piece of Navarro's trade policy, he's a proponent
Elon Musk is only standing against this because he's seeing that he's losing money. And he's seeing that wholesale support for Trump is falling through. So he's trying to save face.
The notion that trade deficits are bad. And this is a view that most economists absolutely 100% disagree with. Harvard University economics professor Gregory Mankiw has said that Navarro's views on trade deficits are based on the kind of mistakes that even a freshman at the end of EC 10, which is essentially Economics 101, knows. And Mankiw isn't the only economics professor that completely disagrees with Navarro. In fact, the list is massive. Tufts University professor Daniel Drenzer said about Navarro's op-ed, "As someone who's written on this topic, I could not for the life of me understand his reasoning." According to Tyler Cohen, close to no one in the economics profession agrees with Navarro's idea that a trade deficit is bad in and of itself. The Economist has described Navarro's view on the trade deficit as...
Okay, so a Republican president, the definition of the most unhinged type of Republican president that one can imagine, is not following through on academic and expert recommendations and is plummeting the economy further and further. What is surprising here? What is this video even about?
Dodgy economics, and the Financial Times has described them as poor economics. And the list goes on, with some economists even calling him a charlatan, and saying that 99% of respectable economists would eschew what he says. And the seemingly fatal error in his thought process is that he thinks for every dollar we import, our GDP is reduced by $1. But that's not the case.
Trade deficit equals a bad economy. Yeah. Oh God. Oh, yeah. I know this is the 10th time I'm hearing it. It's just so fucking funny.
Some economists have even questioned how he got his PhD from Harvard. Because the reality is that when Americans can buy goods from other countries for cheaper
they're actually...
Why are we not fully sustainable in buying and producing everything in America for Americans? We should just like fucking isolate and be our own island, brother.
saving money, which gives them more money to spend at home, helps the economy, and makes everything better. It also allows American producers, manufacturers, to focus on higher margin production. So instead of taking low margin production and bringing it back home, they're able to do the things that make America more productive and that allows them to actually have trade deficits with other countries because they have so much more money to spend than any other country. And it's these types of beliefs and these types of thoughts that makes Trump's trade warrior, Peter Navarro, the most unpopular economist in the class. So while you've got Navarro saying free trade is bad, in 2012, 95% of leading economists surveyed by the University of Chicago agreed with the following statement: freer trade improves productive efficiency and offers consumers better choices. And in the long run, these gains are much larger than any effect on employment. So in other words, the benefit of free trade far outweigh the costs on employment. In fact, the manufacturing issues and the employment issues that arise from free trade and manufacturing moving abroad.
Okay, we all know this, but it's a specific guy that's pushing this. Okay, great, fantastic. Okay. Learned literally nothing. Thank you very much for my time and my 450 chatters this time.
One of the things I had discussed with you several times, and I think we haven't had you on since the November election.
Oh my God, this guy! Holy shit, Glenn Greenwald, brother.
Although, if we did,
get it. His name is Green, and that's why the office is green, brother.
We certainly haven't had you on since the inauguration, since the Trump presidency began. We talked several times during.
Chat, the reason I'm playing all these sorts of takes is so that we can have as many takes as possible. See the perspective from as multiple angles as we can. Okay, we are putting our centrist hat on. Okay.
During 2024, about what you thought might be the likely impact of Trump's election on these wars in the Middle East. And I think there was a sense that we know for sure what will happen if Joe Biden wins or Kamala Harris wins, which is a continuation of the status quo. They made no efforts for a ceasefire, occasionally made some noises about concerns for humanitarian ends, but really never used their leverage in any real way to back that up. But the issue of Trump was always, well, you really don't know what you're going to get. I mean, he talks a lot about how he prides himself on being the first American president not to involve the U.S. in a new war.
Which is ironically the only kind of saving grace of the current situation, because he might back out of it, because you never know what he would do. Which would mean that the nothing ever happens guy wins, which would be hella fucking sad, bro.
War. He obviously was the one who facilitated that.
A friend that works as a solo stock economist, he said yesterday he was over 300K plus while trading things related to VIX. He said that even with all that unexpected win, he was barely 120K plus because all other of his stocks hit almost zero. Shit, yeah. Everyone's fucked.
Ceasefire and seemed to take a lot of pride in it. And
especially people that haven't moved everything outside of their portfolio. People that play with portfolios are just all around fucked.
Yet now he's in office and he restarts Joe Biden's bombing campaign.
I don't know if I did that properly in English. By portfolio, I mean like invested in a lot of fucking pools, right? The only people that are making crazy money right now are like very focused traders that, put all their money in a particular thing, pull out, and move on to another thing. Obviously multiple things, but don't like long-term invest. They're the only ones that can make serious money now.
Which I want to talk about, which is, you could count as a new war, a continued and escalated war. And then clearly he gave the green light to the Israelis, not
Thank you, my friend Finesse. Thank you very much for the gifting.
Just to unravel his ceasefire, but to go all in on whatever they wanted to do. What do you make of the expectations that you had of the Trump administration and throughout 2024 versus the reality that we're now seeing?
I thought there was some chance that he would try to shut down the war. This is before he came into office. And I thought that in large part because he made much of the fact that he intended to be the president for peace, that he was not a warmonger, and that he was going to shut down the war in Europe, shut down the war in the Middle East.
Yeah. We all hoped, bro.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more. We're going to win so much. I love you all. May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
New soundboard button. You like it? You like it? You like it? Oh.
And then, of course, he forced Netanyahu to accept the ceasefire, which was initiated the day before Trump was inaugurated, January 20th of this year. And that gave one hope, because the ceasefire had 3 stages, but the second stage looked like it would really put an end to the conflict.
Thank you, 999. Thank you very much.
That the Israelis would leave Gaza, and you'd have a ceasefire that would last for a long time. But of course, the Israelis refused to go to the second stage of the ceasefire. The Trump administration put no pressure on the Israelis.
The stocks must flow downwards.
And indeed, the Trump administration blamed Hamas for the fact that you had not gone into the second stage. And that, of course, was not true. But anyway, Trump has disappointed us, and he's no different than Genocide Joe was.
You know, I think that, and again, we saw this several times in the first term starting in 2017.
You wanted a better economy and no more wars. Well, the wars will continue, and also the economy will continue sucking. I might even throw in a little bit of extra sucking. Yeah, brother.
Obviously, Trump's not a pacifist. I mean, he escalated bombing campaigns he inherited from Obama in the way he said he would against ISIS and Syria and Iraq, etc. But, you know, you really didn't see this kind of...
I played the track, Malteser. I played it earlier. It's so good.
Militarism expressed. Now he's back in. He's utterly unconstrained, at least in his mind. I was just reading today, in fact, some Republicans in the White House saying basically in response to all this uproar about the collapsing stock market or the declining stock market that he just doesn't care. He doesn't care about negative reactions from the public, doesn't care about negative reactions from the media. He feels like he got a mandate. He's going to do what he wants, and that's what he's setting out to do. And so I guess on one level, you know, he seems to be in charge. It seems like he is determined to make sure that his will is carried out, a lot more so than in the first term, where I think there was a lot of sabotage, kind of undermining around him. This time he seems to really have had a plan, or people with him did, to make sure that everything that happens is because he wants it to happen. So what do you think accounts for that change? Like, why did he get into office right away and start bombing Yemen and giving the Israelis the green light to go wild, even wilder than they were before, and now threatening Iran with some sort of annihilation if they don't give the kind of deal that he wants on nuclear weapons?
I'm Hitler's top guy. What am I gonna do? Adolf Hitler chose me to lead the revolution.
Let me answer that, Glenn, by making a general point about Trump and then specifically answering your question. I think that in his first term, he was not a radical president. I think that he pursued one radical policy, and that was that he drastically altered our policy toward China. He abandoned engagement with China, and he pursued containment. That was the one, I think, radical shift.
Very good take. Very correct take.
In policy, both foreign and domestic.
Very correct take.
Place.
I like this man as a takes. He's very good at taking the takes. I like it very much.
In his first term. And as many people have said, and Trump himself has acknowledged, the deep state basically boxed him in, much the way it boxed Obama in. When he came into office this time, I think because he had had 4 years to really think about it and think about how to deal with this issue, he came in with the thought in mind that he was going to get his way. And I think you see this, by the way, in the people that he has relied on to execute his policies. Elon Musk.
I mean, if we're doing psychoanalysis here, his biggest pet peeve about his previous administration is that there were people inside of his administration that were bringing up walls when it comes to some of his more radical policies. So he's still riding off of the lack of high he got last time because he, from his perspective, put a lot of people in his administration that were not 100% yes men, right? That's why he filled his current one exclusively with yes men. But that's not the important psychoanalysis, whatever. Welcome to Freudian Hour with Hugo Point. The more important one is because he was stopped with some radical policies during his previous rule, he will now lead everything that he started potentially to full fruition, because in his brain, the reason the previous 4 years did not work out as well as he wanted to is because he trusted other people, he listened to other people, he went more moderate on particular points, he chilled out, he pussied out. So because of probably that subconscious or even conscious way of thinking, he's now going full in because he thinks if I just follow my pattern of thought, everything's going to work out. If I go back on certain things, it's going to end up like the previous 4 years, which I don't want to see happen. That's pretty much it.
For example,
if we want to do this particular point, in my unlicensed therapist perspective, $5 therapist, Hugo, welcome. $6 a month therapist. Where do you get this?
And Steve Witkoff. I think Musk is the key person, the key right-hand person for Trump on domestic policy, and Witkoff is the key right-hand person on foreign policy. Neither one of these individuals is part of the deep state. Neither one of these individuals is part of the Washington establishment. They're outsiders. They're Trump's buddies. They're the kind of people he can trust. He doesn't trust Marco Rubio and people of that sort. So what he did was he brought in his own team, and he set out to pursue a radical policy, both at the foreign level, foreign policy level.
It's an interesting take. We're doing too much fucking therapy speak here, but it is. And it's giving me some hope that the nothing ever happens guy might not win against everything is going fucking crazy guy.
Level and at the domestic level. And if you just laundry list a lot of the policies, it becomes manifestly clear that that's the case. First of all, with regard to tariffs. Secondly, with regard to the whole notion of conquering territory like Greenland, the Panama Canal. Third, with regard to transatlantic relations. Fourth, with regard to relations with Russia. Then if you switch down to the domestic level, his approach towards dealing with the judiciary, his approach towards dealing with the deep state, his approach toward dealing with immigration, and his interest in wrecking universities. These are truly radical policies across the board. You didn't see this the first time round, but this time he's unleashed the dogs, and he has lieutenants, again, Witkoff and Musk, who are working with him in this regard. So at a very general level, I would say you do not want to underestimate what a transformational president he...
Did you all see they put up fences against the White House again? It's one of those things like the pizza index that's supposed to mean something is about to happen. Oh, fucking... Nice. There are fences around the White House. The people are going bankrupt. And to speak ill of this is to be anti-patriotic. Ugh.
He intends to be. And given that he's just in the beginning of a 4-year term, one can only wonder what this is all going to look like 4 years from now. So that's my general point. My specific point is I don't understand what he's doing in the Middle East.
Thank you, Ethan Klein.
Thank you, Ethan Klein. You are my best friend. You are the rent payer. You are the legend. Thank you, Ethan Klein. You are my best friend. You are the rent payer. You are the legend. Thank you, Ethan Klein, defender of genocide.
Did somebody fucking remix the Thank You America, the Albanian song, into an Ethan Klein debunk? This is awesome.
Helping small creators grow a larger size. In 2025, promoting the left.
Hey, calling Mike small is undermining that man's fucking massive fucking throbbing, if you know what I mean, but still.
Side, Denims, B and Frogan, Hasanabi and Mike. Thank you, Ethan Klein. You are my best friend. You are the rent payer. You are the legend. Thank you, Ethan Klein. You are my best friend. You are the rent payer. You are the legend.
So a lot of people saying they discovered the new program also because Ethan was pissed at y'all. It's a classic. Greatest rent payer. So good, but it's obviously based on this.
Thank you, USA. You are my best.
Dude, they even got the text right. I hope like the Albanian in the bottom is also good.
You are the peacekeeper. You are the legend. Thank you, USA. You are my best friend. You are the
Balkans are somehow always involved in every single situation ever. We are the most important place on the planet. When readjusted, obviously, to the size of our economies. If you actually readjust to the size of our economies, then we are more important than the States or Russia or China.
peacekeeper. You are the legend.
Thank you, USA, very much. Like you, thank you very much. Lele, brate, ja ću sada se ubijem koliko volim Ameriku, brate, lele, bate. Šišarot Amerika. Thank you, USA, brate. You've seen that China announced that the American IP is now over and they will allow IP theft. Absolutely. Let's China IP. Intellectual property. No, old. What if I just write China? China.
China this time hit back quite fast and strong, imposing the same 34% tariff rate on all U.S. products entering the country. And on top of that, it also put 7 more rare earth minerals into its export control list. So those minerals are used in all sorts of high-tech applications, including in the defense sector. So China this time around really showed that we wanted to match the U.S. strength in imposing these tariffs and other trade measures.
Brendan, I was surprised. I mean, the president definitely doubled down, right, yesterday. I mean, I would have thought that with the global market rout that we saw on Friday, and actually I think the markets lost some $5 trillion last week, he would kind of pause. But yesterday he basically said, stop thinking about the markets for 2 hot seconds.
Exactly, and he had his his top economic officials out saying the same thing. Basically, I think we heard President Trump many times say that trade wars are good and easy to win, and I think what we're seeing from the financial markets perspective is trade wars are hard and they aren't easy to win.
Literally, the trade markets are like, nah, bet.
China, as Alan mentioned, hit back at those rare earth minerals. That will really hurt American companies that are, making batteries and high-tech medical devices. That will really leave a mark on the innovative side of the economy. And we'll have to see what Europe does now. Does Europe throw fuel on the fire, or do they let this burn on its own?
Alan, how much more aggressive can China be? And actually, if you look at the Chinese market reaction today, what does it tell us?
Well, the Chinese market reaction tells us that people are panic selling. In terms of China's countermeasures to U.S. measures, I think that's about it for now. But the tariffs haven't kicked in yet, so there's still room for either side to do more or pull back. It's noteworthy that China has already imposed those tariffs on all U.S. imports, and based on the current tariffs already announced,
Chinese assets are also falling, of course.
But
it's a fucking trade war.
Economists expect trade between the two countries to basically...
Nobody wants to keep their money in assets that can potentially be negatively impacted by said trade war.
Slow to a halt. So what more can China do in this regard? It remains to be seen. But what we've also seen from China is that they've signaled to the domestic audience that it's digging in. In the front page editorial in the People's Daily, party mouthpiece, China said that don't panic, and we've got your back, basically promising to support the domestic economy by stimulating consumption. It also floated previously mentioned measures such as cutting rates and lowering the reserve requirement for banks to support lending. All those measures, they are more likely now because of the market reaction and also because of potential weakness in the economy because of the hit to China's exports.
Yeah, interesting. And Brendan, I was also having a conversation with Ban Boejo of UBS, and China can't change their business model on a dime. So if they can't export to the U.S., they'll probably export to other countries, and then they will be tariffed more from the U.S. So it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you can see President Xi Jinping reaching out to countries in South Asia to try to shore up some of those relationships. Countries like Vietnam, Malaysia, where the U.S.
Yeah, this is cliche. All of you know this. I don't think I need to explain this. Everybody's reshuffling. America is becoming a very problematic market to potentially sell to. It's just more complicated, more expensive, more time-consuming, etc., etc. So new trade routes need to be organized with other states. The Chinese have obviously already been, to an extent, pre-planning a trade war through the development of the Belt and Road Initiative. So obviously you have to keep in mind that you need a shit ton of infrastructure that can allow you to switch from one buyer to another when it comes to international trade, right, between states. And if there's any player that has dedicated, unfortunately, it's not finished yet fully, but if there's any player that has planned in advance in order to be able to switch to higher self-sufficiency in the form of a domestic consumer body being able to buy most of the shit that the country produces is number one, and to have created logistical pipelines that will allow it to sell to other countries instead of their main trade partner. It's China, right? If there's anybody that's ready for this Trumpian policy, it's them.
the higher tariffs kick in on Wednesday. And as Alan mentioned, there's a very short window.
Hodling that Yugo coin to the moon. Thank you very much. If you want to be like Fern, do consider buying Yugo coin for $6 a month of a free through Prime, and in return, you get many bonuses such as me feeling good, you feeling good, but most importantly, not having to watch ads like the ad that is going to play in the next 10 seconds. Fuck ads, Yugo coin to the moon, no ads to the moon. Let's restart the economy, one subscription at a time.
For that to happen. So we'll have to see if another day of a punishing market.
It's possible to buy Chinese steak. Generally, purchasing Chinese stock is more complicated from what I know. They have a lot of policies in place to minimize foreign influence. So if you're not Chinese, it's difficult. He also wants to start paying off U.S. debt, but it's one of the key mechanisms of their hegemony. I know. That's the main thing that his billionaire buddies might come at him aggressively for. They do not want foreign debt to go down.
Market response turns the attitude in the White House.
They don't want debt in general to go down, because half of these fucking countries are built, half of these corporations are built on debt. Hell, pretty much the only way people do stock buyback is through loans as well.
So we heard Elon Musk over the weekend talking about a free trade zone between the U.S. and Europe. So perhaps some of those voices will get louder and louder and somehow stop those tariffs from taking effect.
The Ethan song is stuck in my head. Thanks a lot. You it's stuck in mine as well. You are the rent payer. You are my best friend. Thank you, Ethan Klein.
But it doesn't look like it at the moment.
Brendan, I mean, do you have a good understanding? Because I've been glued, all weekend with the equation, and of course there are memes, and it's quite funny that the penguins got tariffs and tax. But at the end of the day, who does President Trump listen to? Is it just himself because he's held this belief for a long time? Is it Peter Navarro? Is it someone else?
It sounds like the sort of more hawkish wing of the economic team that he's listening to. Howard Lutnick, Scott Bessent. He was also on the airwaves yesterday. Look, at the end of the day. Liberation Day is going to turn into Litigation Day. The courts are really the only.
I Belt in Her Road Till She Initiative. April 16, 2025, 10:12 and 5 seconds a.m. EST.
I'm gonna kill myself. Barry. Bro.
Thing that look like they have a chance of stopping this, a challenge to the companies will challenge the authority that.
I'm kidding. That was funny. It was your jokes, Barry, are funny because they are spontaneous. This one was very try hard. It was heavily try hard. By the way, does anybody got links to the Asmongold reaction to all of this shit? I would love to hear what the dumbest person in history says about the Trump tariffs. Apparently everybody's seen it but me.
The breaking news this morning,
I touch too much grass for my own fucking career.
Okay, so
to be healthy and prosperous. Jesus, 30 minutes. I ain't watching that, bro. Is it like a good part?
Oh boy. Oh no. Is this what I think it is?
How far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker? And how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo?
Man.
As I mentioned, it's about jobs, proliferation, and human rights. And there are those
She was only 130 years old back then.
who say we shouldn't link human rights and trade and proliferation and trade. I disagree. But if we just want to take up this issue on the basis of economics alone, indeed, China should not receive most favored nation status for several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the
Man, that's crazy. Another chart. This chart reminds me of another chart I've seen recently. So this is a while ago.
Yeah, but they didn't follow through on it. They were doing random China baiting propaganda since day one, but they didn't follow through on it, bro. Why is your guy crashing the economy? But they didn't, bro. Oh my God, he spends like 20 minutes on an ancient clip by this guy.
Freedom, the freedom to throw American workers out on the street, people who are making 15, 20, 25 bucks an hour, health care, pensions, throw them out on the street because somehow, Madam President, we are going to create wealth in America and good paying jobs in America as we shut down plants, we move to China.
Yeah, he's talking about outsourcing, bro. He's talking about stopping outsourcing through reforms that will motivate domestic business owners to hire American workers instead of sending them abroad. He's not talking about, I don't fucking know, making everything so fucking expensive for everyone, which is somehow supposed to create more jobs. Obviously, more simplified, but...
Wonderful, a new child soldier.
He was right.
Thank you, Zanzibar, fucking G. 1 metric year of being a child soldier. I love my child soldiers. Thank you very much, my dear friend. Thank you very much.
He was right about everything. Everything that he said was going to happen, happened.
There, pay workers 20, 30 cents an hour, and we bring the product back into this country. And anyone who goes shopping in a mall knows how difficult it is today to find the product made in America. But that is the philosophy. And I have to say, in that regard, the champion, and he is honest on this one. Senator McCain has been criticized recently for not being the most honest candidate we have seen in terms of his ads and so forth. He has been honest on this one. He is the lead advocate of unfettered free trade. And that's an also important part of this right-wing ideology, that it is good for America that corporations can go to China and bring products back into this country.
How the fuck did this get shifted? This is crazy. Literal 180, yes. They delayed for
180 on what, bro? He was just saying stop fucking outsourcing jobs abroad. That's it. It has nothing to do with tariffs.
For too long, China manipulated their currency. They've been doing that for a long time, as far as I know.
Yeah, every economy does that on the planet. The Chinese have state management of resources of a much greater intensity than of the United States, so they do it more, but they do it very openly. And it's not manipulation. It is management of the domestic economy. What does manipulation of currency even mean in a world in which everybody manipulates currency? That's no longer manipulation. They're just currency. That's just how money works. People with accrued capital, both private institutions and state institutions, will issue policy that makes their particular currency stronger. That's literally neoliberalism, bro. That your guy is now breaking, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, but now you have to deal with the reality of 2025 and solutions from 2008 are not viable anymore. In some cases, I think you're right. Not in this one. I think this is a general reality. Uh-oh.
Oh my God, is this the cope that they're pitching? Is this the cope that they're pitching? That's actually the cope that they're pitching. That's incredible shit. That's incredible shit. Got 33 minutes he gets on this. What's wrong with these people? Protesters attack tent for conservative event. Where's that other link, блядь?
What are my view on the tariffs? I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows. I think that it's massively destabilizing. I know people, I've had friends of mine contact me and they've said like, yeah, bro, like our company is like way worse. Like we have this massive issue. We're thinking about doing layoffs, right? So like I've had people tell me like that they're really bad.
Markets are open and you might want to turn away or maybe not. It's 2 days now. The news is tough out there now with the tariff announcement. Already in 5 minutes of trading, we're off about 2.5% for the Dow 30. So we're below 40,000 now for the first time in some time. I'd say about a year. On the broad.
Nobody knows. Like a shit ton of Nobel laureates and I think over like 300 renowned economists signed a letter saying that this is going to make everything go boom shakalaka shit. So the experts knew. I think there's at least 5,000 YouTube videos about how the tariffs will start a trade war, which will very negatively impact the life standards of a lot of people around the world, but mostly Americans. So if you only listen to the smartest people in the room, which are content creators, they were screaming about it the entire time. You have milquetoast politicians and pundits understanding before all of this went down just how fucking unhinged and stupid it would be. So they were already hedging their bets from the get-go. So they were saying that this is not going to go well. I don't know who Asmund needs to hear from in order to understand that the choice is bad. I don't know. Does he need to consult with his council of rats or some shit?
It is not unthinkable to me that this number might be a 2 within a year. I think it could go down by that much.
Market, the S&P 500 trading lower about 2.5 percentage points.
I don't think it will, by the way. Like, in my opinion, I think that a lot of these tariffs are just brinkmanship, and it's not actually something that's going to happen in the long term. I think that a lot of people are expecting Trump to use these tariffs as negotiating chips. And
as what? Here, I'm putting down the chips of crashing my own economy. What's your reaction, China? What are you gonna do, Malaysia? Hey, Germany, how do you respond to me crashing my economy and, yes, deeply hurting yours? Aha, master negotiator. It's like putting a gun on the table, like, and then shooting yourself in the fucking foot and saying, if you don't listen to me, I will shoot myself in the other foot, motherfucker. And you're telling this to people that hate you. And if you're asking, which country you're talking about, which country hates America, all of them, including your allies, okay? What Asmund sees while coming up with his talking points. Eternal classic. We already...
Funky towel, towel's got the fun. Funky towel, towel's got the fun. Funky towel, towel's got the fun. Baby, I got the love. Baby, I got the power. Come on, girl, and rock my world. And my funky towel. Funky towel, towel's got the fun. Funky towel.
Oh, somebody might be eating. What the fuck is this? This is straight from his living room.
Not necessarily like
Thank him, teaser, you fucking G.
a solid foundation for policy. That's the reason, and like that's what I think people are thinking.
This is Asmund going to his council for political takes. Come on, guys. How the fuck were you so fast, bro? NMAC is crazy. I literally said, does he consult with his council of rats? And you just had a clip ready with a council of rats. Impressive, I have to say. I'm rarely impressed. Impressive
But
shit.
if he does keep them, I could see it going down substantially.
The NASDAQ is down even more at 3%. So in the past 30 minutes, the president, who is now in Florida at Doral for the Live event, he posted...
By the way, do not look at this as me trying to debunk his ideas or trying to be critical of his analysis or some shit, because you cannot debate or debunk a troglodyte, right? I am watching a rat that has manifested itself into human form purely for my own and your entertainment. This is not herder, you are wrong, I am right type of shit-ass fucking debate bullshit. This is pure entertainment. They have taken away like fucked up type of TV from us for a very good reason, right? Stuff like bum fights, disgusting, maybe entertaining, but absolutely disgusting and awful, or just footage of I don't know, I can't even make allegories, but there used to be disgusting TV where you could sit and point at someone who is just whose life has taken an unfortunate spin, and point and laugh at it and feel better about yourself, right? Well, in return, we've been given this rat man, right? Just a massive piece of shit, right? So literally subhuman, but also a massive piece of shit. So it allows us to just sit here and be like, look at funny monkey. look at funny cockroach man. Right? That is the only, if you ever see me watching Asmongold, that's the only like framework you need to understand. It's like, look, he's gonna do a funny thing. Do a flip, bro. Can you do a flip? Hope you understand me. Troglodytes. After I said troglodyte, I got scared. I was like, did I just say a slur? Because I have no idea what a troglodyte is. Troglodytes are not rats. They're weird lizard men that exude a weaponized stink when threatened. Really? Really? It is a slur? What the fuck? It is? I apologize. Troglodyte. Especially in prehistoric term, a person who lived in a cave. No, how is it a slur? Oh, come on. We can't have anything nice anymore. We can't have anything nice anymore. It's not... My chatters are defending me. Can I call him a troglodyte? Can I call him a troglodyte, please? Pretty please. It does objectively check out. Yeah. Troglodyte is a D&D monster. So it's a hermit. It's a person who lives in a cave. Like, it's literally him. It's literally him, and it's in D&D as well. There you go. This is Asmongold. This is literally Asmongold. There we go. Okay, so let's go back to basically watching a troglodyte pointing and laughing like we're in a zoo. There you go. That's how I want you to treat us watching Asmongold. You are in a zoo, okay? We are in a zoo, and we are watching the funny creature do funny stuff. We're like, ha, 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 ha. Okay? I want you to treat it that way, okay? Elitism is sometimes a good thing, especially when somebody is quite literally not human. Okay, now let's continue. Troglodyte, you are allowed to speak. Entertain us.
To this, so the many investors coming to the United States and investing massive amounts of money, my policies will never change.
You're dehumanizing him. Yes. Yes. When you act like a troglodyte, I will treat you like a troglodyte. Welcome to fucking materialism, motherfucker.
This is a great time to get rich, richer than ever before. I will remind you that China announced its retaliatory tariffs around 5 a.m. Eastern time today to the tune of...
No crash liptards. They're so mad. Total Trump victory. China market's down 13%. Really about them.
35% for American products going into China.
So 34,
So
but
that
who
was the
cares?
latest move. We'll see how
Yeah.
it bounces back and forth throughout the day and into the weekend as we move forward. All right, this from last night, Air Force One. Roll it.
What we have is we have a set of tariffs based on what they've been charging us. That's reciprocal. And those tariffs have come in and every country's called us. That's the beauty of what we do. We put ourselves in the driver's seat.
President Trump.
Yep, that's right. And the only problem is people think he's putting himself in the driver's seat and then driving directly into a wall. That's the issue. And now, is that wall the Great Wall of China? We're going to find out.
Somewhat downplaying the initial market reaction to his tariff plan. He's betting Americans will tolerate the short-term downturn if it means restoring manufacturing here in the U.S. Free Press columnist Batya Sargon writes that with Trump's Liberation Day plan, he's delivering on one of his campaign promises. She is our guest now. I'm sorry about that, but your name is unusual, but people are going to get to know you. You wrote a column that is getting a lot of attention. It said this: how did he steal the working class from the Democrats? Well, in the most obvious way, by purloining their pro-labor agenda.
The pro-labor agenda, man, I love it. It's dried blood from when my teeth would bleed overnight. I just wipe it on the wall when I woke up so I don't have to get out of bed. Like, if I thought that he isn't a literal troglodyte, I would think this is bait and that it's always been bait. For example, something that you can notice that probably in his troglodyte brain he thinks is really smart is when he says, that's interesting, because everybody called him out like, oh my guy, my dude, my streamer is so fucking stupid. The only thing he does is watch a clip and say, that's interesting. He's doing that intentionally because it's like kind of his calling card, right? If you were a troglodyte, you would also think that is very smart. But I do not believe he has the skill set that would allow him to paint himself as a troglodyte in order to get more attention because he is a troglodyte, right?
The reason why is because you can't have a...
Thank you very much. Cigar full of dynamite. Very kind of you for 7 months. Long live the great God-chosen anti-imperialist Donald Trump. Will bring down the neoliberal world order, not the revolutionary we want or need, but the one we get. JD Pondon, thank you for your service, sir.
You can't have a party of people who constantly think that and talk down to voters. And I think this is the way that a lot of working class people believe, is that they view Democrats as ivory tower intellectuals that add basically no value to society. Whereas
that is absolutely correct. So they go to guys that dumb themselves down, but also think that they are filthy subhumans in order to extract the same amount of money out of them. Just the Democrats, with all their faults that we, I believe, all agree on here in chat, at least follow some modicum, some small paint job of respectable policy. Even though almost always wrong, still in the realm of some sort of rationality. Well, these guys most definitely do not.
As in a lot of cases, these are people that have physical labor jobs and things that, provide some sort of tangible effect to society.
But that's all irrelevant because the troglodyte man, in his inability to understand what the real left is, always simply paints the left as the Democrats, not out of some deep wisdom or some shit of some, I'm going to push people to the right by painting the entire left as the Democrats, which are de facto elitists and so on. No, there's no thoughts going on behind the eyes. He actually thinks that the Democrats are the left.
And so when they're being talked down to by some graphic artist that, uses Photoshop for a living to make pretty pictures, and they get told, learn to code from this person, they're not going to appreciate.
Did you know that the troglodyte used Breivik's username on LOL World of Warcraft? That's so fucked up. Jesus Christ. That's not a red flag. That's a red planet.
That at all. You think they're smarter than yeah, you think you're smarter than me? Exactly. That's exactly the way they feel.
force the border and is now instituting widespread tariffs, implementing a broad protectionist agenda committed to
Idiot looks at average intelligence man. Average intelligence man tells idiot, "You are stupid, idiot." Idiot clogs him over the head with a rock and then proceeds to not be able to, I don't know, manage the sewage system and starts drinking water from the same place he shits and ends up dying. There you go. That's the allegory of American elections.
Shoring manufacturing and giving the working class a boost.
You won't tell me what to do. Crashes economy.
The likes of which we haven't seen since the new
This is the business acumen that bankrupted a casino. Exactly.
deal.
Yeah.
Tell me about your column and the reaction to it.
Do you know, it's so amazing. This morning on one of the liberal channels, I saw a Democrat congressman, and he was just sitting there saying, I have no idea why President Trump is doing this. They simply cannot understand why he is implementing the tariffs because the answer.
Well, the thing is, like, if you voted for Trump, this is very important. If you voted for Trump and you're upset about these tariffs, you kicked yourself in the dick. He said he was going to do this the entire time. He said, guys, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, guys. Guys, guess what I'm going to do? Boys, have you heard about my favorite word? So yeah, seriously. So anybody who's voted for Trump,
this is correct,
complaining about these tariffs,
but it's such an obvious thing. Like, why do you even need to say this out loud?
You are so dumb. He said this from the beginning. This is one of the only things Trump has been consistent on. Even you can look at interviews from Trump in 1980, and he's talking about tariffs. Really? He's talking about even then.
Answer is simple. He is choosing Main Street over Wall Street. He has chosen to bet on the American working class instead of on the rich elites.
That's right. That's exactly it. And that
by giving a way in for the American rich elites to do stock buyback as much as they want. Brilliant.
It's the reason why you see so many of these people on social media that are unhappy about it. It's because they're the ones that have a bunch of money in the lawsuit. Or sorry, in the stock market. And I don't know why I said lawsuit. And I think they're permanent. He's talking about abolishing income tax under $150,000. Yes. And this is like almost all identity.
Do it then. Do it. Do it. Come on, do it. Abolish income tax below $150,000. Do it. Let's see if he does it. Let's see if he does it.
Politics is, in my opinion, a proxy for class warfare. And I think that this is one of the first examples that you can really see of like this class warfare taking into effect. And I think that there are a lot of people that are in like the Trump like Republican Party that are actually extremely far left with their economic policy, but only for Americans. Like basically, they have no problem giving a lot of money to other people in America. They just don't want it going to Mexico. And you're seeing these people come forward now. America first, exactly. America first. I love this. Yes. And so that's the big difference.
This is astonishing because...
Thank you, Zidi Gro. This guy's dumber than a rock. Absolutely. Thank you for the 9 months. Very kind of you. True American working class, Giga Chad. Yes, Comrade Trump. Class warfare on the liberal, communist, Jewish elites.
For 60 years, presidents on both sides of the aisle have...
I mean, I guess the troglodyte is correct. This is a working class first policy. From the perspective that... he will annihilate the labor aristocratic position of the American worker and turn him into a third world employee domestically. Hey, sir, you won't be outsourcing abroad anymore because you can now pay your American employee $5 an hour. You can save money on logistics.
Have sided with the rich over the hardest working Americans, the American working class.
That's exactly it. And I think that's the way people have seen it. And this is just a good little example. The wealthiest top 10% of households own over 85% of corporate stock.
My friend, I don't think you understand how... It's not just about the stock owners, bro. This is the averaged out value. Doesn't matter who owns it. This is the averaged out value of the entirety of your economy. This is the funds they can play with when they're... Oh, my God. Oh, Lord. Wait, does this man actually think that when the economy starts crashing and the majority of stocks start going down, that only negatively impacts people who hold stock? There's no fucking way. There's actually no fucking way. He seems to think this. He thinks that when you have a recession, only stock owners lose money. My guy, when companies start cutting costs, and companies are basically a bunch of people inside of the same institution working towards a similar goal, who do you think gets cut because they can no longer afford? Fucking people, bro. The working... Oh my God, why is... And when you want to support the working class, quote unquote, instead of a capitalist mainframe, what's usually the thought pattern? I want them to be able to afford more shit with the money they have, or increase how much they are paid. These policies will create jobs that pay very little because they have to offset the losses from the tariffs, from the jobs coming back in domestically. And it will increase costs because domestic capitalists and producers and so on will not be paying for it out of pocket. No, I know I call him a troglodyte, but like, holy fucking shit, he actually thinks that he actually thinks that when the market starts crashing, it's only dudes that do epic Sigma walks of and do stock brokerage and snort cocaine of prostitutes' asses, that they're the only ones losing money? James from the internet, he doesn't actually think though. What's up, my friend? What is up? I mean, apparently he does. Oh, bro, trust me, the prices will go down, brother. The wages will go up. It's patriotic dialectics, bro. Come on, bro. Just trust the plan, bro. Good to see you, James.
This is again what I was saying. Is people are fighting back against this. And so, yeah, that's, well, no shit. Yeah, exactly. Isn't it funny how that works? It is.
And, you know, I used to have the Trump derangement syndrome. You know, I started out as a lefty, a liberal. I really couldn't understand.
Imagine switching to being a pro-Trump advocate right now while he's doing the dumbest thing in history, literally. Imagine now becoming a forever Trumper. Now. Of all time. Now.
And the draw people had to this president. But over time, I've come to see that he is simply the inheritor of the values that used to define the Democrats because they used to be the party of labor.
Was there a... Trump is the perfect embodiment of the id of the American working class. And he works in that behavior, in that way. And I think that's why he's so successful.
Labor.
Was there a... Trump is the...
Democrats because they used to be the party of labor.
Was there a... Trump is the perfect embodiment of the id of the...
My man, I can take you not understanding how stocks work. But the id? The id.
American working class. And he works in that behavior, in that way. And I think that's why he's so successful. That's why you have all of these hicks and hillbillies that are voting for a guy that was born a multi-fucking millionaire. And they can relate more to him. It's because he knows how to tap into that. He bankrupted 3 casinos.
That's not the end! They see themselves in him and the potentiality of what they can become so that others view them as a Giga Chad. The id is you want to fuck and shit and piss and eat and drink and fuck and shit. Okay? You have the other two, super ego and ego. Out of which one? Come on, chat. Which one would represent properly the driving force in the American working class towards supporting Trump? They cast themselves onto him, right? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm overreacting on this. This is just my field. Oh my God. How does he know that word? How does it? Who told the trogi? Who told the fucking trogi what super ego and it is, bro?
I don't. What's your point? Like that he's
Хочеш да jedeš, хочеш да jebeš, a to košta.
bad at business. I don't think that doesn't have anything to do with it. 100% right, man. Yeah, that's what it is. What about all the businesses he's ruined? I mean, what about it? What's the point? I don't even get it. What do you like? Okay, like that's not even what's being discussed.
A single moment that changed you?
So the cracks came a little at a time and then all at once. You know, the first was my rabbi, who's the best person I know, told me that he loved Trump. And I suddenly realized, well, I guess not every person who voted for him is a racist. Then I was doing a lot of reporting from the South on American polarization. And what I found was a lot more united Americans than divided us, even in this moment. It was really the elites who were polarized, but average Americans were very united. And then the kicker was in 2018, I saw a Yale study. And in this Yale study, it found that
This
there was...
is again what I was saying, is that average people do see it this way. They do look at it this way, and they think to themselves, like, okay, well, a lot of people like feel like outsourcing and like offshoring different types of like just development and business. This has come, the perspective of offshoring business and outsourcing things to other countries. The perspective that the average American has is that this has come at the expense of the worker and to the benefit of the, top 1%. People felt it?
Of the owner, yes. Yes. That's called class consciousness. That is then co-opted when someone tells you that it is not domestic capitalists that are the problem, but it is foreign states and foreign workers, and sometimes, but we don't talk about it, foreign capitalists that are the problem. So in order for us to save the American working class, we must re-embolden the very domestic capitalists who got rid of those jobs and sent them abroad in the first place. That's called reactionary thinking and moving the goalpost and utilizing class warfare rhetoric as a means to ironically make domestic capitalists even wealthier. You go, why are you doing this to us right now? Why am I doing this to myself right now?
Well, regardless of like what you like,
because he gets half the point, and then there you go. This is why the reactionary pitch works so well, because you have troglodytes that even after they understand the class dynamic, are ready to swallow whatever orange man wants to pee in their mouth.
Oh, it did. It didn't. That's not the point. This is what people think. I've been saying this shit for like a decade. A lot of people have been saying this for a very long time. Yeah, it's a very, very common line of reasoning.
Difference between how white liberals and white conservatives talk to Black and Hispanic Americans. And here was the difference. White liberals dumb down their vocabulary.
They don't even know what the word computer is.
When they're talking to Black or Hispanic people.
Oh, so.
And
Never
white
seen one
conservatives don't do
before.
that. They use a lower level of vocabulary.
Dude, the guy's crashing the economy, and you're playing like on the video about Trump just nuked the stock market. Half of the video is the entire video is you talking about how Democrats are elitist, which is correct. Just the fuck does it have to do with the economy crashing? Fucking troglodyte. They know our ideas are popular and what people really want, so they play to it and convince people they're working class heroes. That's always happened and always will happen with reactionaries. They take actual real analysis and class dynamics, but put blame on the easiest, weakest targets. Exactly. Both domestically on the immigrants and internationally on their strongest and most active economic competitors. It's only good that it hasn't passed over into a field of no return where it's, not just trade wars that will cost lives and will ruin so many families and shit, but they can move into conversations about war, right? Anyways, I think we're done with that. Let's switch to something that we actually enjoy. Some cool video essays that cover some cool fucking topics, like why celebrity billionaires are also bad. I love that. I love hating on billionaires and then celebrities, and a combination of the two sounds absolutely phenomenal. But before we do that, our legend, Kak Philosophy, is the man behind Shrek, a Marxist analysis. Now has Scatman John, a Marxist analysis. The most niche thing I've ever seen, teleports me straight back to the golden era of like 2018, 2019 Marxist YouTube. Let's see what the fuck this is about. Because we need a very strong palate cleanser. Because even though I was looking at this shit through a screen, I think my room is infested with some fucking bacteria that never existed.
I'm Hitler's top guy.
May Allah awaken the people and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
Where's the scat man? I'm a scat man. Repeat after me. It's a Scooby-Dooby, Scooby-Dooby melody. I'm the scat man. Sing along with me. It's a Scooby-Dooby, Scooby-Dooby melody. Yeah, I'm a scat man. I'm a scat man. I'm Hitler's top guy.
Great palate cleanser, I think, chat. Great palate cleanser. Now, a full analysis video on
Often wondered about the meaning of all of his.
If you would like to support our show and what we do here when we watch videos that analyze Catman and Cool Aceman Gold, the fucking truck that I do, consider supporting the show for $6 a month for free through Prime or by gifting to those less privileged than you. And avoid the ads that are about to play because ads are bad. Supporting your fucking streamer is good. That is the pitch. Buy YugoCoin now.
May Allah awaken the people and
His references to Scatland, alternatively called Scatman's World, as per the title of his second.
Thank you, Barry, for single-handedly carrying this whole fucking show, Barry. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, brother.
Most popular single. References to Scatland are found repeatedly in his corpus, from Welcome to Scatland to Song of Scatland.
But okay, what is Scatland and does it have anything to do with shit is what I am asking, okay?
What exactly is Scatland? With its exotic.
What the fuck? Stop giving a shit, motherfucker.
Stop giving a shit. You better be very rich, okay? You better be wealthy. Don't tell us if you are. Thank you for being a class trader with the 20 fucking gifties. Barry, and stop giving a shit. Literally, I am riding on the back of your fucking
huge and fucking roided up bikes, brother.
And you're carrying me across the fucking finish line of being able to pay off my goddamn mortgage, brother.
Indeed, brother. Thank you very much.
Exotic allure and.
No, thank you. Seriously, that's crazy. Stop giving a shit. What the fuck, bro? Thank you very much. Tipping hat. Tipping hat. You are.
and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
By gifting. Thank you very much to all gifters.
Its apparent utopianism. That's the question I will answer in this Song of Scatland. His corpus. From Welcome to Scatland to Song of Scatland. What exactly is Scatland, with its exotic allure and its apparent utopianism? That's the question I will answer in this video.
And why did he choose to call it Scatland? And does it have anything to do with literal poop?
Because I know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Scatland is nothing but communism.
This is why we love cuck philosophy.
First of all, we must establish Scatman John's general political orientation. Take, for instance, his lesser-known song, Quiet Desperation, a scathing critique of homelessness as an indignation of the so-called American dream. The song centers around a homeless man, of whom Scatman sings, "You're the freedom desperado and the perfect living model of a land that hasn't any good excuse." And in a later verse, "You're wishing that your home of the American dream wasn't only smoke and exhaust." Reducing the American dream to the hot air and pollution of the exhaust pipes of cars.
This is not what I had in my cards for today. Does he actually say that? What? You're sitting in a milk crate morning, noon, and night, fantasizing the American dream. You're looking pretty good, and you've got yourself convinced that the nightmare isn't as bad as it seems. You try your best to hide yourself beneath your turned-up collar, and a plastic bag is all you've got to show. This is why I'm not a singer. And your books inside your shopping cart is probably the best education you're ever gonna know. Holy fucking shit, bro. Comrade Scatman. Yeah, another sentence I did not think I would say. Comrade fucking Scatman, блядь.
Indignation of the so-called American dream. The song centers around a homeless man, of whom Scatman sings, "You're the freedom desperado and the perfect living model of a land that hasn't any good excuse." And in a later verse, "You're wishing that your home of the American dream wasn't only smoke and exhaust." Reducing the
He was like, during the Cold War, how do I make a anti-capitalist song without the censors coming after me? I have an idea. I'm going to name this world that I'm pitching the land of shit. Scatland. Fucking peak!
American dream to the hot air. And
guys, what if we, instead of saying that we're communists, what if we just say that we are scatists? Maybe like, random conservatives start listening to our arguments because it's not as loaded of a term.
And pollution of the exhaust pipes of cars driving by.
Wait, that's so good. We're the Scat Man. You want some scat, brother? Scatman. Scatman nationalize. Scatman. Scatman socialize. Scatman. They find the non-Scatman and they... Scatman.
Quite a powerful critique. Scatman simultaneously uses this song to depict a picture
I'm
of
actually a
alienation.
scat them. Barry.
Quote, "You've forgotten what you look like, and it looks like you've forgotten that the look inside your eye is very strange." After all, an alternative term for alienation is estrangement. And the song even mentions the police in a critical light. Quote, "While you're at it, put the jug behind the picket fence, 'cause the cop that's driving by sure looking mean." This song alone rebuts those who would place Scatman John at the service of American exceptionalism. But, of course, this doesn't prove anything about communism. Even a liberal can critique homelessness. And while that's true, I would like to counter the idea that Scatman John might be a liberal. In actual fact, he demolishes liberalism in the song Scatman's World.
He demolishes liberalism in the song Scatman's World. Legend. He's probably an anarchist, even if he is legend.
In which he sings, "Everybody is born to compete as he chooses, but how can someone win if winning means that someone loses?" In a mere 2 lines, he clearly shows his opposition to the zero-sum game that characterizes the liberal capitalist world, in which ruthless competition and the so-called freedom of choice makes losers of us all. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the song also expresses his opposition to racism. The same song coincidence that the song also expresses his opposition.
Scat man, fat man, black and white and brown man. Tell me about the color of your soul. Holy shit. We got a fucking reincarnated MLK in this bitch.
To racism. The same song also exemplifies his radical disposition by singing, "The source of my intention really isn't crime prevention. My intention is prevention of the lie." This line is very interesting in the way it speaks out against the carceral state and its punitive measures, further proof of the Scatman's opposition to liberalism. Scatman John knows what is needed is not more resources spent to prevent crime, but the eradication of the very social conditions that produce the need for crime in the first place. In contrast to crime prevention, Scatman John opts for the prevention of the lie, which can be read either as the suppression of the lies propagated by the capitalist media, or the prevention of the lie inherent to capitalist society as such, the lie which reduces people to things and raises things to the status of idols. The theme of truth-telling appears in a couple of Scatman John songs, and it recalls the quote attributed to Rosa Luxemburg, that, quote, the most revolutionary thing one can do is always to proclaim loudly what is happening. Now that
but then call it Scatland.
we have some knowledge of what Scatman opposed, we can determine what he proposed. Scatland, which, as I said before, is nothing but communism. As he says in the Song of Scatland, imagine a land of love, where people have time to care, where everybody's equal, and we all tell the truth.
Blood. I love finding a new /our guy /.
There we see again the theme of truth-telling. The line about having time to care is also striking, as throughout the history of the labor movement, the expansion of free time has always been a central concern, and Marx speaks of free time as time for free development, which is essentially usurped by the bourgeoisie in a capitalist society. And in Volume 3 of Capital, he writes that the shortening of the working day is the realm of freedom's basic prerequisite. Scatland is that realm of freedom. Again, you might argue that claiming this is about communism is a bit of a stretch. After all, liberals hold up the ideal of equality as well, by reducing it to something like equality before the law, and they might even support the partial expansion of free time. The next verse, however, leaves no doubt. Quote, the society of Scatland is composed of very loving, caring people who have never even heard of political corruption, class distinction, war, and all the other stuff that goes on in the world of Earth people. Everyone is equal in Scatland. In other words, the people of Scatland have never heard of political corruption because the very basis of political alienation, founded on the division of society into civil society and the political state, is overcome in communism. War is also unheard of, as profit, the basis of imperialist war, is abolished. And by the time he speaks of a world without class distinction, you'd have to be willfully ignorant to deny the fact that Scatman John is a communist.
Holy shit. The things you call dead haven't yet had the chance to be born. Oh my god.
Revolution. Kill a cop.
And now I'd like to thank my patrons, who are the kind of loving and caring people that you'd find in Scatland. 404 Error, Just Undo It, Andre Oliva, Beetle Scratches, Ben E, Blue
Fucking W,
Celsius
bro.
Enjoyer,
Sick
Chiquito, Daniel
Go
Swing,
subscribe to
Evie
Cock
Ross,
Philosophy right
Eric
now.
Owens, Felon Mask.
Might not agree on
Francois
everything, but they're a great comment.
Harbin-
Scatman, ba-bidda-boop. So, I guess we have a new anthem chat.
I'm a scat man. I'm a scat
And they say that hidden communist propaganda doesn't get a lot of views. 247 million, блядь. Hugo, I need you to read the full name of the song just once. Scatman. Skiba boop ba dop bop. Official video HD. Scatman John. There we go. Thank you, Scatman, for everything you did for us, my dear friend. Thank you very much. What's the video again? It is literally called Scatman was a communist. Just write, it's like a philosophy. It's CCK philosophy. For some reason he removed the full cuck name from the fucking thing. I don't fucking know why. Next. Take celebrity billionaires are bad too. Let's oh my god, I'm gonna masturbate to this. I'm going to whip out my fucking schlong and just like do it in front of you, because this video sounds like everything I enjoy. Okay, hating on the class enemy, but then specifically the worst version of the class enemy, which is the self-deified, self-important celebrity. My man, I have deep respects to you for being able to deliver a few lines very believably, actors, for you being able to deliver a few lines very vocally, singer. But the second you start thinking you're better than the rest of us, and more importantly, the second you start utilizing that hard-earned, full value to you money, but then use it to buy a bunch of fucking businesses and become a capitalist, I say I not only see no difference between you and a classic fucking capitalist, I find you to be a bit worse, because you lie to yourself that you are a equal contributor to society while just being a cocky parasite instead of a simple parasite. Anyways, celebrity billionaires are bad too. Time to muster all that strong, toxic Yugopnik energy, that shitbag left energy, and start hurling literal scat in Scatman's name. Can we watch this? What is this? Top 5 annoying things under capitalism. It's 30 minutes. Maybe later. Okay, celebrity billionaires are bad too. Carter, very underrated as well. Very, very underrated. But 3.3K. So please link this one, mods. Thank you very much, Ga.
Alert. There is no such thing as an ethical billionaire. And before you go...
Not a shitbag left, scat bag left.
Go down in the comments and tell me how brave I am for making that statement. Hear me out. The ones I'm talking about are not the usual evils like Elon or Jeff Bezos. I'm talking about people like Rihanna, Taylor Swift, and LeBron James. Really, anyone with $1 billion. I want to make it clear. I'm not saying this because I'm not a Swiftie or I think Michael Jordan is better at basketball.
He has played 7 more years than Michael Jordan.
It's just that having $1 billion in itself is unethical. And I'm going to take this video to explain why. To be honest, I don't...
To an extent, as like orthodox Marxist, I'm not sure I would like 100% agree. I like accumulating... I mean, it's not about ethics. So this gets complicated. So some of them, yes, have made it through their own labor, so it's the full value of their labor. But it's how the market values it. And also they accumulate it and then reinvest it in order to generate more capital. And the second you are utilizing capital to generate more capital, you're what? You are a capitalist. So yeah, while it's a nice kind of tool to use to explain to people that, hey, you know, this guy's really good at basketball. He's made a lot of money from just playing basketball, so you know he deserves his millions and millions. There is no way you can make $1 billion by just playing basketball or being a good singer, etc., etc. You have to utilize parasitic capitalist models in order to turn those millions, sometimes even tens of millions, into $1 billion. There is no way that you can generate $1 billion simply through your own labor, is what I'm saying. Through the further devaluation of most currency, yes, I will sit on this. You could, to an extent, I guess, inside of the confines of capitalism, be like an ethical millionaire, even multimillionaires, some great experts, scientists, engineers, Twitch streamers, etc., etc. I can see it happening. But you moving post those numbers into the field of the billion, which is absolutely fucking unhinged, you will have to have exploited a shit ton of labor in order to get there. So, yeah, pretty shitty.
I don't think a lot of people really understand.
So basically what I'm saying is, as a Marxist, I cannot criticize billionaires just for being billionaires, just for having accrued that amount of money. The reason I am able to criticize them, though, is because you cannot be a billionaire simply through your own labor, no matter how much of a superstar you are, or how popular you are, or how good you are at a sport, or whatever the fuck. It is impossible to be a billionaire without becoming a capitalist. Therefore, de facto, the argument is all billionaires are capitalists, and therefore all billionaires are bad.
You get my point? You get my point. Okay.
And what it means when we talk about unethical.
I think the only ethical billionaires are athletes, but even then, most of their wealth wasn't sourced ethically. But if they're not like ethical multimillionaires, blah blah blah, can exist. It's not the 80s, the million is not what it used to be. But ethical billionaires, I don't think it's logistically possible for you to make that much money without becoming a capitalist. It's not possible.
Billionaires. Growing up in America as a millennial, we pretty much worshipped the ultra wealthy. I do think this glazing is less prevalent in younger generations and even my generation, millennials, but it still does
I don't hate that you have $1 billion. I hate how you acquired that money. Exactly, Barry. No, literally, that is a hill I will always die on. That is the principled Marxist perspective. Unironically, to a question of who is worse, a guy that has 20 employees and makes $500,000 a year, or a guy who is such a massive, for example, expert in a field and he makes $1 million in a year? The $500,000 capitalist, petit bourgeois piece of shit. Absolutely. Absolutely. The class dichotomy is very different and stark between the two. Now, can we have conversations about where in the general international, not hierarchy, but class relation, a millionaire proletariat could find themselves in? Are they on average going to be motivated to be class traders? Yes, absolutely. But the way they got their bag is very different than the way the other one got their bag, even when their bag is bigger. Poverty is not fucking socialism till I fucking die. Fuck that shit. Get that fucking bag. You still gotta live in this fucking system. But try to minimize the amount of suffering that you're causing while you're getting that fucking bag. There's no sanctity in modesty. There is nothing that uplifts you in poverty. There is you don't get to tap yourself on the back by utilizing dialectical materialism to excuse away you trying to have you doing your best to have a relatively decent life. Now, is it going to be possible for the majority of people? Absolutely not, of course. Does that mean you shouldn't try? Absolutely fucking not. Jesus Christ. We are not capitalists. We are not a death cult, okay? We don't see value in suffering, quite to the contrary. If you can do something, those of us that are privileged enough to do something in order to relatively remove ourselves from poverty, we absolutely should do it. And we should do it with a fucking smile. Because in the eyes of the reactionary or the eyes of the capitalist, you will always be perceived as a hypocrite. We all know the cliche, but I'll still say it. If you're broke and you're an anti-capitalist and you're just jealous, and if you have means and you are an anti-capitalist, you are a hypocrite. Well, to that I reply, I sit down, I look him straight in the eyes, and I say, my guy, what's your excuse then? I am a communist, and I could probably buy you and sell you into fucking slavery, and you're a big dick capitalist, and you can barely afford the fucking beer. Okay? What are we doing here, bruv? I am doing relatively okay in this system, and yet I'm telling you it is rigged, and it is shit, and this system is fucking raw dogging you every fucking day, and you do not want to accept what I'm trying to tell you, that this system is shit. Always spin it on them, especially if you are a little bit financially better off than them. Always spin it on them. Okay, I'm a hypocrite for having money and being a communist. What are you for not having money and being a capitalist, whatever the fuck that means? I love the adoption of I am a capitalist as if it's like an identity that you can take on. You either are a capitalist or you are not a capitalist. Do you own a business, bitch?
happen. There is people out there trying to justify those with $1 billion.
I know we say there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire, and I tend to agree, but I can make a really strong case for LeBron James.
Did I really just see a billionaire use his money for good?
So Taylor Swift brought in $2 billion in revenue from ticket sales for the Eras Tour, and she donated 10% of that to her crew.
I don't like billionaires. That's a pretty general rule that I have. For the most part, billionaires do not become billionaires without taking money and profits from the employees that work for them. But this one behind me, Sarah, is an exception to that rule, and she is exceptional in every way.
Okay, let me explain some important context for the rest of this video by explaining what I mean by ethical. You may or may not agree, and that's fine with me, because you're gonna go down below and leave a comment at the end of this video telling me why. I'm just kidding. You're gonna do it before you even get 5 minutes from now and tell me something that I've already said, because that always happens. All right, explanation time. My idea of ethics in relation to this video and humanity as a whole means trying to avoid harming others wherever possible and striving to make the world a more fair place. I think that fair part is really, really important, because growing up, I always heard the saying, but life isn't fair. And that doesn't mean we shouldn't try to make it more fair, right? And God forbid you try to make it worse, because then you like really suck. You really, really suck. No one likes you. One last thing before we dive into these really cool people who are deaf.
If you Luigi a billionaire, another one takes his place, only an organized movement can change the present state of things, of course.
Definitely ethical. You can come watch me over at twitch.tv/Carter, where I'm live every day at 6 p.m. PST. I know I don't upload a ton of YouTube videos, but it's because I'm over there streaming like every day, and you can talk to me about these topics. If you didn't know, LeBron James is the undisputed GOAT of lying about things no one cares about.
LeBron claimed The Godfather was his favorite movie, and then a reporter asked him what his favorite quote from the movie is.
Oh, from The Godfather. It's too many different phrases.
Why would you even lie about The Godfather being your favorite movie? Like, that's everybody's favorite movie. Like, when you lie about something, you usually should lie to appear, I mean, you shouldn't, obviously, but, you know, people lie to appear they're extra edgy or some shit. They're like, hey, The Triangle of Sadness is my favorite movie, right? That's the type of movie you lie about it being your favorite movie, even though it's one of my favorite movies, but still.
Phrases and too many different lines in that movie to just
quote The Godfather. You go, they pull me back in. The second I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Look at what they've done. Look at how they've massacred my boy.
categorize one.
Bro, why lie about that? Why? Also, who hasn't seen The Godfather?
Look how they massacred my boy.
All jokes aside, LeBron James is probably the best basketball player ever, and his salary reflects that. He makes $50 million a year on...
What's your favorite quote from The Triangle of Sadness then? Wait, I'm going to play it to you. Triangle of Sadness. This is the best. This is so good.
Okay, here we are.
This part.
Thank you. I have one joke. Do you know how to tell a communist? It's someone who reads Marx and Lenin. And do you know how to tell an anti-communist? It's someone who understands Marx and Lenin. It's Ronald Reagan, a funny guy.
Never argue with an idiot. They'll only bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. Mark Twain.
Oh, okay. Ronald Reagan, he said also, socialism works only in heaven where they don't need it, and in hell where they already have it.
That's pretty good, yeah. Okay, hold on, got one.
80% of my nights out, I swear to God. Like, this is literal, this is the conversations.
Oh, no, I have one. Growth for the sake of growth is the ideology of a cancer cell. That's Edward Abbey.
Listen, The problem with socialism is that you eventually run out of other people's money. Margaret Thatcher.
You're gonna like this one. The last capitalist we hang will be the one who sold us the rope, Karl Marx.
Oh. Okay. Sorry.
Dear God.
Okay? Classic. The most powerful single force in the world today is man's eternal desire to be free and independent. Kennedy.
Okay. Freedom in capitalist society always remains about the same as it was in ancient Greece. Freedom for slave owners.
I know. Vladimir Lenin. School. Russian capitalist and an American communist. Oh.
On a $250 million luxury yacht.
Cinema. Okay? Cinema. Just great, and to move to this screen is so funny. So yeah, you wanted my favorite quote. You got my favorite quote.
On his contract for playing basketball. Forbes recently put him as a billionaire with $1.1 billion.
What's the movie? Triangle of Sadness.
But as you'll see in this next TikTok I'm about to play, he didn't get that by playing basketball.
So how did LeBron make the billionaires list? He's earned over $385 million playing in the NBA and has made $900 million off the court through endorsements like Nike.
It's literally the whole movie, like, it does not necessarily have a message, and I really like it to an extent for that reason. The whole movie is kind of literally like Das Kapital. Like, the whole movie is just like, this is how classes work. It's literally that. It's like, this is how classes work. And that's the whole movie. It shows you, it ends. You can take whatever lesson you want out of it, etc., etc. It doesn't put moral weight to how classes work. It just shows you, this is how classes work. This is how classes work when they're on the boat. This is how classes work when they're on the island. And the contrast between the two shows you how the class dichotomy readjusts depending on material conditions. That's why it's good. And that's why I think a lot of people miss the whole point, because they are stupid fucking children that always need a big, intense message at the end. What did the movie want to say? This movie did not want to say jack shit. It just presented. This is the material reality that underpins the class dichotomy. And that is why it's so fucking good.
And Pepsi. And business investments such as Beats by Dre, Blaze Pizza, and real estate.
So you can already kind of start to see the problem with saying earned it, because even the best basketball player on the face of the earth did not earn $1 billion. He had to invest money into other companies to get there. $385 million just wasn't enough. Before I move on to talk about...
Exactly, and unironically, even if he made $250 million by Hope, and from, I don't know, advertising revenue or etc., I would unironically, I would not consider him a class enemy. Depending on his behavior, I might consider him, but just that, I would not. I genuinely am really cut the line on this conversation. But the second he starts investing and opening businesses and having employees and then fucking leeching them so fucking hard because, as this gentleman beautifully put, 350 million is not enough, that's when we're having a different type of fucking conversation from a Marxian perspective, of course.
About the other two billionaires in this section, I just want to make it clear. My criticisms apply to any athlete, musician, or artist who is a billionaire. Taylor Swift is often pretty vague, actually, about her finances, but in 2023, Bloomberg estimated she had $1.1 billion.
Experts estimated that Swift's net worth could be broken down into the following. Her catalog of music released since 2019, including new albums and her re-recorded Taylor's versions, estimated to be worth $400 million, with concerts, their ticket sales, and merchandise at an estimated $370 million. She is then thought to have made up the remainder of the money on streaming platforms, around $100 $120 million. 5 personal properties,
Holy shit, Taylor Swift streamer billionaire confirmed.
$110 million, and royalties from music sales, $80 million.
And that was before she went on the world's highest grossing tour, the Eras Tour.
He's only able to make that amount because of exploitation of workers, but that isn't on him, that's on the team owners. I agree completely. Yeah. I mean, if you're a very highly paid, highly skilled engineer that goes and works for a capitalist organization, that is only because that is what the system allows. The organization is still capitalist, but your relation to the capitalist organization that pays you very well is that of a worker. In the same way that the basketball player playing for the team is an employee offset team. Yes, the highest ranking employee of the team, but nonetheless an employee.
And made another $2 billion. We're going to come back to the Eras Tour in just a second, but I do want to talk about something else that's important, because in reality, Taylor and a lot of musicians or actors, whoever, are born into wealth or situations that make their wealth and success more likely. For example, Taylor Swift's dad was part of an investment firm, which invested in the label that got her signed right off the rip. So that means that Taylor Swift already had a foot in the door the moment she was born. And that's a door that most people will never even see. Aside from Taylor Swift in the music world, we're also going to talk about Rihanna, because she's kind of toted around as being this great ethical billionaire and having earned it. She was even called the youngest female self-made billionaire in 2022, I think.
Rihanna became Barbados' first billionaire, and here's how she did it. In August, Rihanna officially became a billionaire, but it wasn't from her music career. It's for her 50% stake in a cosmetics brand, Fenty Beauty, that got her net worth of $1.7 billion. She also owns an estimated 30% of the Savage by Fenty lingerie line, which raised $125 million in January.
Remember how at the beginning of this video I said there's like a group of people that still glaze billionaires? Well, Rihanna is often considered one of the good ones. Let me just read you this Vogue article, because it is an insane glaze session. Of course, there are several factors separating Rihanna from your average run-of-the-mill Mr. Burns. First, she's a black woman of Caribbean descent who overcame an early life characterized by poverty and abuse to become, among other things, a 9-time Grammy winner, the first black woman to head a luxury brand for LVMH, and the second best-selling female musical artist of all time. Still, I'm semi-disappointed to find myself so unabashedly excited for her opulent wealth. Ultimately, I'd love to see the downfall of the capitalist state that controls us all, and I still think a better world is possible if we work for it. Here's to single-player healthcare system in our lifetimes, baby. That said, if Elon Musk of the world are going to spend their time and seemingly unlimited funds acquiring Twitter and union busting and generally being as evil as possible, I want Rihanna in that billionaire boys club that I assume meets once a year on a private ski slope in Gstaad to discuss the fates of us lowly underhumans. I know she'll fight for us, or at the very least I know she'll spend her billions on luscious fruit and import ensembles, and that's good enough for me. To me,
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
it's really bizarre to like justify a billionaire because they came from a certain background. I personally don't think that gives you a pass to kick the ladder down or keep progressing a terrible system. She will fight for us when she literally doesn't even fight for her own merchandise makers. She like allegedly relies on a lot of slave labor. That whole article feels like a weird parasocial relationship, or that it was like paid for. With celebrities and athletes though, I do kind of understand how people can run defense for them because they're loved and appreciated and
lethal dose of cope. It's cope, but it's also like identity politics without the class dichotomy. Like the writer obviously does have some sense of class consciousness, etc., but because Rihanna represents a few categories of her in-group, she feels like, okay, you know, it's one of us winning, so it's a little bit better than one of them winning, you know? More female prison guards type of logic is easy to make fun of from the side, but when you're a member especially of a disadvantaged minority, etc., it really like... it really plays on those heartstrings. It really plays on that ego of being like, one of us kind of made it, so I'm going to be happy for them. Obviously, that is idiotic because they made it by stepping on corpses of people that look like you. But I understand where the ego drive comes from, right?
Charismatic, and they're often people with actual talent, unlike landlords. They are celebrated for being really good at something.
Same the way I celebrate everybody who subscribes and avoids the top of the hour ad break that is going to play in exactly 10 seconds. Become a lowly investor in YugoCoin for $6 a month over free right now, or give to those less privileged than you. Make me happy, make yourself happy, invest in your future, an adless future.
But once again, having a
$1
billion in itself is evil.
I'll concede that there are ethical or ethically neutral ways to become a billionaire. Say I win the lottery, or I go on TV and I convince 1 billion people to send me $1. I haven't done anything
right. This is why it's very important when you're developing Marxist thought for yourself. It is very, in my opinion, it is very, very, very pivotal that you stay away from the entire conversation of ethics or morality. These are hyper-subjective concepts that will vary based on your culture, upbringing, life experiences, how privileged you are, how much money you have, how much money you've gained, etc., etc. That's why we as Marxists completely stay away from that sort of, try to stay away from that sort of thinking, because it puts you in a box you don't necessarily need to be in, right? Not a box that you don't want to be in, that you shouldn't be in. And you should always revert to the class dichotomy. You should always revert to how did someone make money, and how did somebody lose out on making money because of their relationship to said wealthy person. Obviously, a massive oversimplification, but it is based in it is completely soulless. It is completely like emotionless. It is raw. It is dialectical fucking materialism, okay? It keeps you sane. It genuinely keeps you sane. Because if you keep like measuring economic skulls, as I like to call it, every single time for every single person, you will think one thing, I will think another thing because of my personal experiences, etc., etc. And that's not how we build a movement. That's not how we have a coherent worldview. It turns into a quasi-science from an actual scientific view of human economic drive and interaction.
Ethical, and I have $1 billion now. The problem is not how I made it. The problem is that I am keeping and having $1 billion. Holding on to that amount of money while so many people struggle and starve is unethical inherently. When you can give away $900 million and still have more money than you could ever use in your life, that's unethical.
That guy who looks really similar to me, it's kind of weird, is right. The act of just hoarding $1 billion is immoral because it makes those around you suffer. I have an example. If you were walking down a trail and the person in front of you slipped and started to fall off and was hanging on by a thread, I think that if you walked by them and let them fall, you're evil. You're a bad person. If you don't help them when you have the opportunity to, I think you're bad. A common misconception about how people like me think.
I agree completely, but that's because of our subjective agreement on this. An easy counter argument would be like, but okay, now you saved this person falling from a tree, so you know that there's people falling from trees all the time. So now with this newly gained knowledge, you should probably dedicate your life to running around trying to find people falling from trees and saving them. Sure, good for you that by pure happenstance you found this person falling, but now you understand that that's a societal problem and others don't. So you need to use that additional layer of wisdom that you've gained in order to create a Avengers team of people that are constantly saving people from falling. You get what I mean? It self-replicates.
in just intellectually in an intellectually lazy way. This video is great. Like, he's doing great fucking propaganda about billionaires and so on, and he's playing it at the bottom of the funnel. Nothing against the creator. He's completely correct. But most of you guys here are a bit, more schooled on this topic. So I want to explain why it is very, very important, in my modest opinion, to just leave morality and ethics at the door. Leave it at home when discussing the system. Right?
Think is that I want a poverty cult. Think Vuvuzela or North Korea or whatever. But in reality, most people like me think wealth should just be earned by people either voluntarily giving it to you.
Yes, I went to communism school. Jokula, of course you did. Somebody with such astute wisdom and understanding of the world has to have gone to a communism school, also known as a gymnasia. Probably, Jokula, you went to a mathematics gymnasium. Gymnasia. It's gymnasium is different. A mathematics gymnasium in a larger city.
You because they enjoy your art,
which is basically communism school.
Art or whatever, or by actually just working hard and earning it with your own power. There is nothing voluntary about the way employment works, because if you're unemployed, you might die, and that's coercive. And before people are yelling me about taxes go to lazy people, the vast majority of—
There you go. Somebody yells at you. That's why you don't do this. Don't. There's always a gotcha. There's always a gotcha. There is no gotcha at fucking labor surplus extraction. There's no gotcha because it is truth.
Of people aren't lazy because you're one of—
Stop trying to dox me. I don't want to return fire. Yeah, your name is Jokula. Everybody knows where you're from. What the fuck, dude?
Them. Do you think you're special? No, of course not. You're just like anyone else. You can fall and break your leg or get depressed or get sick. And it would be nice if that didn't result in you going homeless.
Question, who is the boogeyman going around killing poor people? There's absolutely no boogeyman. There's no individual group, individual person or whatever that is actively doing this unless they are like an unhinged serial killer, etc., etc. The problem is that the system we find ourselves in is just simply very inefficient in the way it distributes resources. Now, when you hear distributes resources, you probably are thinking, what, the government should just give free stuff to people? Absolutely not. That's not what we're talking about. How would you define a good system? We define a good system as one which allows everyone to fulfill their fullest potential. If we want everyone to be able to fulfill their potential to the max, you have to remove the exploitative factor, which this system has in its core, that played a relatively positive role for a very long time, as we developed out of feudalism, and gave us a lot. But at this point, we're just sitting and we're saying it's not giving us as much as it's taking. Right? It's not giving us as much as it's taking. It's not working right. So we propose an alternative that we believe is going to be better. And we want to evolve out of this system because we don't think it's the peak of human civilization, the same way feudal societies weren't, the same way theocratic societies weren't, the same way slaver society, what the fuck do you call it, weren't, etc., etc. Well, his original claim was that if you don't have a job, you could die, when we literally have things like unemployment insurance. But, do you see how many thousands of homeless people that are out there literally fucking falling over, killing and dying every day because they don't have a job? The argument is, if you don't have a job, you don't make money to sustain your life, and eventually that either cuts your life much shorter because of the standards that you're existing under, or it quite literally kills you. That's the point.
Starving. Billionaires aren't just rich.
That's why we'd like to joke around. And, the argument is like nobody is forcing you to work. It's kind of dumb because people are the system is forcing you to work. There's no like evil cabal that's like, I want people to work. It's just how it is. Homeless is different. Those are drug addicts or people who don't want jobs and literally just refuse to contribute to society. Okay, so why are there like a lot more homeless people in the United States than in other places? Is it because there's something in American culture that makes them lazier and weaker and with higher propensity to drug or alcohol consumption? Is like American culture inferior to pretty much almost the entire rest of the world because that's where this happens most often? Or is it because it doesn't have a safety net that can help those people survive while other places do? Because you either have to believe that Americans are degenerate idiots and that's why there's so many homeless people, or you have to believe that it's a systemic thing. If you're an American patriot, I doubt you would want to go with the first direction. So it has to be a systemic thing.
Rich or wealthy, they are so rich that there's no feasible way they could have ever earned that money in a way that is ethical. For example, they don't have to work. They could just stop. They could also donate $900 million and still have $100 million left over, enough to feasibly make their lineage rich forever. The problem is that they have beaten the game of capitalism and they just keep racking up the high score, making the leaderboard so high that everyone else falls off of it. I do want to give a...
Rap music tells people to commit crimes, and it is hard to get out of that lifestyle or for jobs to trust former criminals. We also have rap music. We also have criminals. We also have music that sings about how it's very cool to ingest that good old cocaine and rob that motherfucker. But we somehow have very, very different rates of homelessness. Right? Again, it goes back to systemic, my friend.
A huge shout out to Gary's Economics, who started to pop off while I was making this video. He's been making videos for a long time, but really recently was popping off, talking about wealth inequality. So I'm gonna play a clip of his really quick because he explains these situations way better than I ever could.
I think what people like Elon Musk want is for you guys all to be living in this squid game where you all think, I don't care if only one of us will win and 99% of us will lose. I want to fight the people around me to be in that 1%. You need to change the rules of the game, and that means working together. That only works if you guys don't hate each other. Elon Musk is a great example of why inequality is a danger for you and your family. These guys are going to take the things that you need. They're going to take your politicians, your economists, your media, and ultimately your housing and your food. That is what it means. That's why these billionaires want you to hate each other. If you hate each other...
I don't care, I just want Gavin Newsom to remove them from my zip code because they're lowering my home value.
They'll win. If you work together, you can win.
I always found that funny. Isn't it funny how much Americans understand how big of a problem homelessness is only when it hits their bottom line, or only because it increases violence in the neighborhood? So what are you basically arguing? It's okay if we have a horde of people dying and suffering on the street as long as it's happening somewhere over there. Let's all put them on a plane, take them to Hawaii or some shit. Cordon them off. I remember there was like a group of people that thought the same way. I think it was segregagion? Segaragugu? I can't. English isn't my first language. Sagaragaga? They would take like the people that, because of the system they find themselves in, that were massively impoverished, and then they would paint them with one brush, sometimes quite literally, color of this good old thing. And then they would Segaraguru them. They would Scatman them. They would Serengeti.
So if you can't...
Because they never wanted to solve the problem in the first place. They just want them away from eyesight.
Be ethical through earning it. Maybe you can be ethical by washing away the harm that you've done through philanthropy. And I disagree. I think this actually does work on a lot of people, and that's because of something that I often associate with like Mr. Beast. If you do philanthropy, it kind of...
Can we ban country music? Again, we're systemic here. If you create a more just world where more people can do art instead of put fries in the bag, bro, there would be much bigger competition over who gets to sing into our ears, which will lower the amount of popularity that very bad music gets, aka country music. So yes, socialism means no country music, not because it would ban it, but because it would remove the need for it to an extent. Except, I don't know, based ass communist country music. I get that probably exists. I like to ride in my Jeep and shoot that fuck. Okay, no, Jesus, I'm on Twitch. What the fuck? Fuck, sorry. That was fucking close.
Creates a shield from criticism.
Fuck.
It's hard to criticize somebody who's giving away their money and doing good in the world. When I grew up, it was more so like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, who made various promises to like fix impoverished countries or give away their billions of dollars when they died or got old. Now we can see LeBron and Taylor Swift and Rihanna and other people like that doing the same thing, dodging criticism through philanthropy. And I don't know if it's intentional, but it's what they're doing. Taylor Swift is actually pretty well known for being generous. I see TikToks all the time talking about it.
Do you know about Taylor Swift's 5 amazing acts of charity?
Taylor Swift has donated so much money over her career that people call her the most generous celebrity alive.
More recently, though, she was...
Imagine me, marketing guy. I walk into your room and I'm like, yo, we need to do massive PR for your new album. How much is it going to cost? It's going to cost $6 million. And a lot of work. But I have an idea. How about we do a small press campaign for $1 million and you give $2 million to a charity. There's $2 million to the charity. We will then boost with $1 million worth of PR. You will save $3 million. People will think you're an angel. And you will reach a lot more eyeballs than if we did a classic PR strategy. Win, fucking win, eh? That's why they do this shit. That and tax evasion, of course, but come on, that's the easy answer. The same way it is easy to simply sit there and watch ads, but it is difficult to spend your hard-earned dollar bills, yo, to subscribe to YugopnikTwitch and avoid the ad at the top of the hour that is going to play in the next 3 minutes and 50 seconds. So do what is hard, not what is easy. Do be like Taylor Swift and do charity as a means of tax avoidance. Thank you very much. That 2000 is literally staring us in the fucking eyeballs. Let's get to it. I love you.
Glazed by people for tipping the workers at the Grammys. And another thing is apparently she's donated around $100 million to other various charities, including donating.
Yo, my fucking G's. Thank you very kindly for the oil. Thank you very kindly for making other chatters' lives so much better.
Crazy hamburger! Crazy hamburger!
Thank you, Pizza, and thank you, Cynical Chris, you beautiful pieces of shit. Thank you very much.
Donating to like food banks in towns where she plays her shows or whatever on tour.
We're absolutely delighted to announce that Taylor Swift has made a lovely
Very kind of you fuckers.
donation to the work and the support of Crosscare. We're so grateful that she's chosen
2,000 subs, let's go. Woo, woo. It's the sound of the police. Woo, woo. Sound of cannabis. Woo, woo. Good job, motherfuckers. Good fucking job.
May Allah awaken the people
and help them to see the evil doings of Israel and the United States.
Thank you, guys. None of this would be possible without you. My heart goes out to you, but in an actual normal way, okay? Thank you very much.
Charity to donate to.